Chapter 1. Where is this place? Following this incomparably heart-wrenching and tragic cry, countless birds resting in the trees were startled and flew away, emitting waves of "jo-jo" cries. However, the perpetrator turned a deaf ear, completely immersed in his own tragedy. This was a young man with short black hair and black pupils. The young man was about 20 years old. Although he didn't have a common face, he couldn't be considered handsome either. At this moment, he was crouching in an open space in the forest. His head was lowered and his face was filled with sorrow. Raising his head and looking at the surrounding trees, the young man wanted to cry but had no tears. Who would have thought that when he woke up, he would actually come to a place that was neither human nor ghost? Of course, this was what the young man thought. At least in the eyes of outsiders, this was at least a forest full of vitality. It was not that the young man did not think that he was in a dream. However, from the fresh bruises on his arm, it could be seen that reality was cruel. This was proven. Could this be the legendary time travel? But why is there no cheat? Why is there no rebirth? Instead, I am in this damned place where there is not even a shadow. What do you want me to do? I don't know the way. Fellow time travel gods, are you forcing me to eat lunch? Sitting on the open space, ignoring the sand on the ground, the young man's mouth opened and closed, constantly muttering something. Should I say that as expected of an otaku young man? Perhaps the transmigration god that the young man spoke of was also annoyed by him. While the young man was still lamenting and complaining, a cold and mechanical voice that was as calm as an ancient well rang out. System activating. Activation successful. Respected user, the system sends its greetings. When a person stayed in a place where there was not even a shadow and suddenly heard a low and cold voice, what kind of reaction would that person have? At this moment, the young man's performance could tell you. Seeing his whole body tremble, he let out a strange cry and jumped up from the ground. That jumping power was enough to break his lifetime jumping record. Even before the young man became a crippled otaku, he did not have such strong skills. Who? Don't pretend to be a ghost. Do you think I am afraid of you? Let me tell you, even if I really have to eat a bento, I will choose to starve to death after watching anime for 7 days and 7 nights. I definitely won't die in this dubious place, understand? The young man trembled as he laughed. His voice was indescribably weak. The scene suddenly fell into silence. The young man shrunk his head and kept looking around, completely unaware of what kind of shocking words he said. Perhaps he had some self-awareness. Are you sure? The young man swallowed a mouthful of saliva, resisting the urge to run away, and said intermittently, that. You. Say something. Actually, he couldn't be blamed. No one would be able to remain calm in such a situation, right? Moreover, the young man was of old, the type who did not go out at all. Unfortunately, the forest, the voice, 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 was, the voice, 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 the voice. Looking around with a guilty conscience, the young man took a deep breath to slow down his rapidly beating heart. Then he said, "Hey, that guy who calls himself a system." The moment he opened his mouth, the young man was stunned. System? That was what he said just now. He definitely did not hear wrongly. The legendary transmigration system? Cheat. It can't be real, right? Thinking of this, the young man calmed down. Scratching his head, the young man called out in confusion. System? Just as he finished speaking, the mechanical voice sounded again. Willing to serve you, user. The young man's heart jumped again, but after some mental preparation, the young man was no longer as nervous as before. In this kind of situation, as long as one is an otaku, one can roughly guess what is going on. That. System, where is this? What is going on? Why am I here? Shooting his saliva like a machine gun, the young man could not wait to find out what kind of situation he was in. In this uninhabited forest, the the young man could only rely on this so-called system to save his life. Beep. Current user location, Spalier World, Behemoth Forest. Spalier World? Behemoth Forest? Alright, from this information, the young man came to the following conclusions. First, he had transmigrated. Second, from the names of these places, he had transmigrated to a Western-style world. Third, if this was a normal world, then perhaps it would be better. But if this was a fantasy-type world, then from the name of the Behemoth Forest, the chances of him getting a free lunch was only slightly lower than the chances of a girl delivering herself to him. The young man shook his head with all his might, as if he was trying to shake the conclusion out of his mind. In his heart, he was desperately telling himself that this was a wrong conclusion, a wrong conclusion. As a glorious transmigrator, according to convention, he should be able to kill in all directions, conquer the world, make many good friends, and then establish the Crystal Palace, establishing an unparalleled reputation. That's what the novels say, there's no mistake. The young man thought to himself, but unfortunately, the more he thought about it, the more guilty he felt. Finally, when he thought of the mysterious system, the young man calmed down a little. Exhaling, the young man dryly laughed a few times, emboldened himself, and said to the empty space in front of him, "Can I go back?" Beep. Beyond the scope of the system's guidance, please explore on your own. The corner of the young man's mouth involuntarily twitched, and he said with dissatisfaction, "Then what's not beyond the scope of the guidance?" Suddenly, a colorful drawing board flashed and appeared in front of the young man. Although the drawing board was colorful, it looked a little illusory, like a projection. The young man looked at the illusory drawing board in front of him in a daze, only to see that from top to bottom, status, equipment, ability, item, and summon, 5 boxes appeared, as if they were game options. Seeing this, if the young man still didn't know what this was, then he would be an otaku in vain. This was clearly a cheat system from the novels. The young man jumped 3 feet high, once again setting his own jumping record. His face was filled with ecstasy, completely forgetting that he was still immersed in endless tragedy. This is forcing me to defy the heavens. The young man smiled foolishly, not just adjectives, but really foolishly. Looking at the illusory drawing board in front of him, the young man looked as if he was looking at his true love, and he almost kissed it. While smiling foolishly, he slowly raised his finger and tapped on the status box. The illusory drawing board flashed again, and the 5 boxes disappeared, replaced by a full-body image of the young man. Next to the image, there was the words character status. Character, human ability, none equipment, none summon, none equipment points, 0 item points, 0 ability points, 0 summon points, 0 level, 0 inch. Looking at the character's status, the young man's face turned green, then white, then red, then black. If it wasn't for the fact that the conditions didn't allow it, the young man's face might have played out the colors on the drawing board in front of him. Although he knew that now wasn't the time to complain, the young man still couldn't hold back the sullenness in his heart. I say, system, as a standard newbie, I can reluctantly accept that the 3 nothingness and the string of zeros, but what's with that character? What's with that human thing? Anyone who has played online games and read similar novels would know that in the character column, the name should be written. Hugh. A gust of wind blew through the empty space where the young man was standing, rolling up a few leaves, blowing past the young man's stiff face, as if laughing at him. After a moment of eerie silence, the system's voice finally rang out. Please select a nickname. You paused just now, right? You definitely paused, right? The young man madly scratched his hair into a bird's nest. He wanted to curse, but he couldn't. In the end, he could only helplessly drop his hand with a sad face. Please select a nickname. The system's voice sounded again, as if urging him, awakening the young man who was about to commit suicide. Sighing, the young man weakly said, I'm called. Halfway through his words, the young man stopped. Since it's a new world, it means a new beginning, then the old name won't be used. Thinking like this, the young man was silent for a while before raising his head. Wu Yen. Let's call you Wu Yen. Young man, no, it should be Wu Yen, although it's a bit unscrupulous. but this is the name he can think of at the moment. Anyway, no one here knows him. It shouldn't be illegal to give him a cool name, right? Beep. Identity confirmed, user, Wu Yan. At the same time, the human in the character status also changed to Wu Yan. Seeing this, Wu Yan nodded with satisfaction. He clicked return on the lower right corner and returned to the original image. With a feeling of expectation, Wu Yan smiled and clicked on the ability box. As the action fell, the skill, talent, and bloodline options appeared in front of him. Wu Yan didn't hesitate to click on the bloodline option. Sharingan, 1 Tomo 1000 ability points, 2 Tomo 3000 ability points, 3 Tomo 10,000 ability points, Mangekyo 100,000 ability points, Eternal Mangekyo 500000 ability points Rinnegan, 1,000,000 ability points True Ancestor, 500000 ability points Orochi, 700,000 ability points. Looking at the dazzling words, Wu Yan clicked return. Although the projection flashed back to the original page, Wu Yan still didn't come back to his senses. Now, Wu Yan is very sure that this is indeed to let him go against the heavens. With this, he doesn't believe that he can't survive in this strange world. At this moment, Wu Yan's heart is full of pride. He seems to see himself standing at the peak, stepping on countless corpses, holding the artifact in his hand, full of domineering aura. The common problem of otaku, commonly known as YY, laughing twice, Wu Yan clicked on the talent option. Vector Control, LV1 500 ability points, LV2 1000 ability points, LV3 5000 ability points, LV4 50,000 ability points, LV5 500,000 ability points Contract of Fire, 300000 ability points Demon Eye of Death, 1,000,000 ability points and so on and so on. Wu Yan's mouth is getting bigger and bigger. Finally, it's almost like a hippopotamus. Holding back the urge to laugh, Wu Yan clicked on the skill option. Ice Do Chi, 10,000 ability points Dark Do Chi, 10,000 ability points Holy Magic, full set 100,000 ability points Dusk Magic, full set 100,000 ability points Undead Magic, full set 100,000 ability points. Chapter 2. After some fiddling, Wu Yan finally understood the differences between the three. To put it simply, those abilities that could be learned through learning were classified as skills, and those that could not be learned through learning were classified as talents. As for the bloodline, it was even easier to understand. Only when the user had the bloodline could they master the abilities of the bloodline. At the same time, there are certain limitations to using these abilities. Abilities of the same type, even if they are not of the same type, cannot be learned at the same time. For example, the Demon Eye of Death and the Sharingan, one is a talent ability and the other is a lineage ability. But they are both dojutsu, so you can only have one of them. Moreover, the user cannot have two or more lineages at the same time. For lineage abilities, the user can only have one. If you want to change to another lineage, you must give up your own lineage. But fortunately, the lineage can be sold to the system, and you can get half of the original lineage's ability points. Although it is a scam, it is better than nothing. After some more fiddling, Wu Yan more or less understood some of the functions of the system. After all, it is not only abilities that can be exchanged, but also equipment and items. The equipment and items that Wu Yan felt familiar and unfamiliar at the same time were neatly arranged on the exchange list, making Wu Yan drool. Under the system's prompt, Wu Yan also knew that if he wants these items and abilities, he must use the corresponding points to exchange. Equipment points to exchange for equipment, item points to exchange for items, ability points to exchange for abilities, and summoning points to exchange for characters. As long as he has these exchange points, Wu Yan can keep them all, no matter what it is, as long as it is in the system. Of course, after this period of research, Wu Yan also understood that there are only things in the system that you can't exchange for, and nothing that you can't think of. If Wu Yan could still maintain the mentality of a human after looking at the equipment, ability, and item list, then the moment he saw the summon list, Wu Yan completely broke out of the human category. Wu Yan's eyes were almost popping out, emitting a light that was greener than a wolf's. His face was almost blank as he stared at the summon list in front of him. Hatsune Miku, summoning points, 5,000, Hien Shu, 10,000 points, Ikaros, 100,000 points. The tranquil and natural forest seemed to be full of vitality. However, this scene was quickly destroyed by a sudden burst of ghostly wails and howls. We could vaguely see that in a clearing in the depths of the forest, a young man who looked like a savage was jumping and jumping. He kept making noises with his mouth. Anyone who saw him could not help but sigh and say, "Crazy." Wu Yan was laughing and crying at the same time. His body was twisting involuntarily. As for whether he was dancing to express his joy or twisting wildly in ecstasy, that would be determined by experts. Wu Yan is now 100% sure that this isn't some cheat system, this is more like the Crystal Palace system. What killing in all directions? What conquering the world? Those were all just fleeting clouds. Our ideal home is right in front of us, isn't it? Wu Yan wanted nothing more than to burst the projector panel and rescue the girls inside. Too bad, his 0 summoning points can only make him red in the face as he randomly clicked on the panel. The only thing he got in return was a system notification that kept repeating, "User's summoning points are insufficient." System, what do I have to do to obtain these summoning points? Wu Yan wanted to cry, but no tears came out when he heard the system notification. He felt like he's going to break down anytime soon. This feeling of being able to see but not being able to eat is just too annoying. The system is obviously toying with him. User can complete the system's missions to obtain the corresponding summoning points. Alternatively, you can sell other items to the system in exchange for a certain amount of summoning points. Complete the mission. Then system, do I have a mission now? Looking at the string of zeros in his status bar, Wu Yan felt bad. However, he recovered in the blink of an eye. This is just like Gal. Only by completing the mission can he obtain the girl. This is a test of love. Of course, this is only the inner monologue of a humanoid creature. After Wu Yan's voice fell, the system's voice once again sounded. Hunting mission, survival drill. Mission 1, in the Behemoth Forest, kill 100 magical beasts. Mission reward, 2,000 equipment points, 2,000 item points, 1,000 ability points, 1,000 summoning points. Mission 2, in the Behemoth Forest, kill 10 level 10 magical beasts. Mission reward, 5,000 equipment points, 5,000 item points, 3,000 ability points, 3,000 summoning points. Mission 3, in the Giant Beast Forest, kill 1 level 20 magical beast. Mission reward, 10,000 equipment points, 10,000 item points, 5,000 ability points, 5,000 summoning points. If Wu Yan couldn't wait for a bunch of missions to give him more summoning points, now he even has the thought of cursing his father. You can't expect an otaku who spends all day reading anime and manga to slash monsters with a kitchen knife. When the time comes, even his bones would be swallowed. System, you're deliberately making things difficult for me, aren't you? I'm level 0, so how am I supposed to kill demonic beasts? Let alone demonic beasts, even a wild beast would be enough to send me back to my country's great king of hell's palace. Don't tell me you're really trying to make me eat lunch before you transmigrate over? The more Wu Yan spoke, the more excited he became. It was as if he could imagine his own tragedy. His voice and performance could make those who heard it cry, those who saw it feel sad. If a few drops of saliva and tears were added, then it would be even more convincing. After imagining his own tragedy countless times, Wu Yan finally stopped his speech with tears in his eyes. Beep. In view of the user's strength being too low, unable to reach the basic survival level, the system will give initial points, equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points, 10,000 points each to increase the user's strength. Please use them appropriately. At this moment, in Wu Yan's ears, the system's mechanical voice was like the sound of nature. Looking at the extra 10,000 points each, Wu Yan was overjoyed, beaming with joy. Feeling like your performance just now was all an act, after receiving the novice gift pack, Wu Yan began to flip through the system projection. This initial amount of money was the guarantee for him to survive in this strange world. No matter what type of transmigration story, it deeply proved one truth, and that is, strength is supreme. As long as you have strength, then you can act cool and awesome. Otherwise, you will only be a pervert. With strength, then you can do those more melodramatic things, such as being a hero saving a beauty, a hero saving a beauty, a hero saving a beauty. After flipping through the system projection for a while, Wu Yan sadly came to know a cruel truth. The things he saw before were purely used by the system to tease him. Others would put the cheap and durable things in front, but why the hell did you put those awesome and expensive things in front of him? With a fluctuating mood, Wu Yan flipped through the system list like a treasure hunter. Of course, the first should be the ability. After all, it was pure strength. Although Wu Yan really couldn't afford to exchange for some powerful abilities, some practical abilities were still very attractive to Wu Yan. Moreover, there was more than one. This made it difficult for Wu Yan to choose. In the end, Wu Yan chose a sword mastery ability under the skills category. Sword mastery, an expert proficient in the way of the sword, its ability is not inferior to a sword master who has held a sword for decades. 10,000 ability points. When Wu Yan clicked on the exchange, his head suddenly hurt. Countless images appeared in Wu Yan's mind. In the images, each and every one of them is a master swordsman. They seemed to be practicing their swordsmanship as they swung their swords around. The swordsmanship used in each image is different. Now, they seem to be imparting their lifelong knowledge to Wu Yan. Every movement, every detail is deeply engraved in Wu Yan's mind. Wu Yan's eyes seemed to have lost focus. In his mind, he didn't know how long he had spent learning these swordsmanship. Maybe it was a year, maybe it was 10 years, maybe it was just a day. Not long after, the images of those swordsmen slowly disappeared. Ying only came back to his senses when not a single one was left. He rubbed his forehead in a daze as he digested the experience brought by the images. At this time, those complicated and profound swordsmanship had all been engraved in Wu Yan's mind. He couldn't forget it even if he wanted to. After a long time, Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief and smiled happily. Originally, he thought that he would be bound by this so-called system for the rest of his life. Fortunately, these abilities that he had exchanged for were all directly transmitted to his mind. As long as he learned them, they would be his. Although he didn't know what the talent and lineage abilities were, at least, this skill can enrich his strength and experience, right? Originally, Wu Yan was a little sad to use up all 10,000 ability points, but now, Wu Yan felt that it was worth it. After that, Wu Yan exchanged for a weapon. After all, how can he play with swordsmanship without a sword? Kusanagi sword, D from Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke's sword. 3,000 equipment points. A light flashed, and a sheathed katana without a guard appeared in Wu Yan's hand. Curiously touching the sword in his hand, Wu Yan nodded with satisfaction. He put it on his waist and turned off the projection. In terms of items, he doesn't know what to exchange for, so he'll just keep the item points for now. As for summoning, although he's more than willing to summon those cute girls, he doesn't want to be a man who lives off women. None of the girls in the 2D world are easy to deal with. If the girls he summons are stronger than him, that's going to hurt his pride. At the very least, he'll have to wait until he gets a bit stronger. System, is there anything like a map of the behemoth forest? Although it was a little shameful, Wu Yan had to admit that he was a little bad with directions. After all, he was just a squatter. Beep. Behemoth forest complete map, 3,000 item points, yes/no? Well, it's my fault for counting on you. Now, I'm in a situation where I'm short of points. Even 1 point is very precious. I just wanted to keep my points. It's better to rely on myself. I don't believe that I'll be defeated by this so-called forest. Full of confidence, Wu Yan took a big step forward and walked towards the ghost place that made him tremble. Now that he had kendo mastery, the system's products must be the best. Whatever demonic beast, bring it on. Wu Yan had already forgotten that even though he has a bit of ability, his own level is still a cute 0. Beep. Warning. A powerful demonic beast has appeared within 100 meters of the user. According to calculations, if the user fights it, the chance of winning is less than 5%. It is recommended that the user avoid it as much as possible. Wu Yan's footsteps paused, then he expressionlessly continued walking. I was born to be a tragedy. Chapter 3. In the empty space where Wu Yan had been standing, an uninvited guest had arrived. A giant snake with a green body and black stripes slowly crawled out from the depths of the forest and arrived at the empty space where Wu Yan had been standing. The giant snake was nearly 4 meters long, and its waist was as thick as a water bucket. It wriggled and crawled across the empty space. Its huge mouth had 2 fangs that were thicker than a small stick, indicating that its owner was not to be trifled with. Wu Yan shamelessly hid behind a tree and carefully peeked his head out to observe the giant snake. Just now, when he saw the danger that the system had warned him about, Wu Yan's heart almost exploded. Wu Yan didn't know if this type of snake existed on Earth before he had transmigrated, but how could Wu Yan, who had only seen kittens and puppies, have ever seen such a ferocious snake? If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that he would have to deal with this type of snake in the future, Wu Yan would have already slipped back to his hometown. Of course, that was on the premise that his hometown existed in this world. Seeing the giant snake crawl across the empty space, Wu Yan sighed. Should he really say that it was worthy of being a product of the behemoth forest? Wu Yan's eyes flashed, and a line of words appeared above the giant snake's head that no one else could see. Wind Snake, Level 10, this was a small trick to use the system. It was an ability that came with the system, allowing one to see the information of an object within sight. Actually, although it was called information, it was just a name and a level. However, this information almost caused Wu Yan to cry. This was a level 10 monster. What less than a 5% chance of winning? With his glorious level 0 status, even a 1% chance of winning would be a problem. System, you're screwing me over again. Although he thought so, Wu Yan still put his hand on the hilt of the Kusanagi sword on his waist and tightened his grip on the hilt of the Kusanagi sword. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes slightly, and his heart was constantly thinking. Right now, he only had one chance. Needless to say, if he were to fight against the level 10 wind snake at level 0, he would be courting death. Under such circumstances, he would only have a chance at victory if he used a surprise attack. Moreover, he had to kill the wind snake in one hit. Otherwise, he would be dead. If he still couldn't get rid of the wind snake after making his move, Wu Yan would have no choice but to run. In order to increase his chances of winning, Wu Yan felt that it would be better to use some strategies. Staring at the giant wind snake, Wu Yan's consciousness quickly went into the system and searched for items. Weren't item points meant to be used at times like this? If he didn't use it now, when would he? It didn't take long before he found what he was looking for. Drunken Immortal Flower can release a certain amount of pollen. Can force the target to fall into a state of intoxication. Has a chance to cause the target to hallucinate. 1,000 item points. Holding the sword in his right hand, Wu Yan flipped his left hand and a delicate flower with an antique flavor appeared in his hand. Although there were more useful items than this, Wu Yan was really embarrassed. Moreover, this drunken immortal flower was quite useful, so it was definitely suitable to deal with the situation in front of him. Raising one hand, Wu Yan covered his mouth and nose. He laughed mischievously in his heart. He raised the flower in his other hand and gently shook it. A burst of powder invisible to the naked eye was shaken out by Wu Yan and slowly floated toward the wind snake. The most speechless thing about this drunken immortal flower was that the pollen didn't need to be moved by wind. As long as the flower bud was pointed in one direction, the pollen would only float in that direction. It was like a gun, used to aim. The powder gently floated towards the wind serpent on the ground. Perhaps it had sensed the danger. The wind serpent restlessly twisted its body. Its pair of green snake eyes constantly looked around, and the flowery tongue in its mouth moved up and down. It was in a posture where it was ready to attack. Unfortunately, the wind snake is destined to fall into Wu Yan's hands today. With its incomplete intelligence, How could it know that the opponent this time wasn't like its previous opponents who directly challenged it to a duel but instead shamelessly hid at the side and used a bit of a despicable method to deal with it? Of course, it was fortunate that the wind snake didn't have intelligence and didn't have such thoughts. Otherwise, if Wu Yan knew of its thoughts, he would definitely reply, "I'm proud of being despicable." This prevented the wind snake from dying of anger. As time passed, the wind snake's pair of snake eyes began to water. Its eyelids opened and closed, and its body that was originally constantly twisting and turning became more cheerful. However, this time, it seemed to be a little unstable. Seeing this, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel happy. He knew that his plan had succeeded. To be honest, he was really afraid that the snake wouldn't get drunk. After all, he had never been drinking with a snake before. Gradually, the wind snake let out a hissing sound, as if it knew that it was about to die. It let out the last wail of a small snake in this world. When such a mournful cry fell into Wu Yan's ears, he automatically imagined it as, "One more cup." Therefore, the drunken immortal flower in his hand shook even harder. He shook the flower in his hand until not a single bit of pollen came out. Only then did he throw it away. The wind snake on the ground had already sunk into a beautiful dreamland. Seeing this, Wu Yan jumped down from the 6 to 7 meter tall tree and stood firmly on the ground. After obtaining Kendo mastery, although Wu Yan's body didn't improve by much, his skills had improved a lot. Therefore, a little bit of resistance was naturally not a problem. Looking at the wind snake sleeping soundly, Wu Yan moved a little timidly and came in front of the wind snake. He looked at the snake's head that was up to his knee and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It shouldn't wake up suddenly, right? Wu Yan thought of the idea that made him want to run away. Based on the theory that he who strikes first gains the advantage and strikes last, he drew his Kusanagi sword and pointed it at the wind snake's head. "Brother, don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being a snake and having no human rights. Remember to reincarnate in your next life and be a good person." After saying, "Amitba," Wu Yan fiercely swung the sword in his hand. The sharp Kusanagi sword pierced through the wind snake's head like it was cutting through paper, causing the sleeping wind snake to die painlessly. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 1. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 2. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 3. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 4. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 5. The continuous system notifications shook Wu Yan's mind until it went blank. When he came back to his senses, Wu Yan smiled happily. The guilt and disgust he felt from killing a creature had been tossed out of his mind. A level 10 monster is really awesome. It raised my level from 0 to 5. I've finally gotten rid of my reputation as a super noob. Wu Yan clenched his fists. He could feel that as his level increased, his body became lighter and filled with power. Moreover, the inside of his body felt as if he had been reborn. His bones felt soft and his mind became clearer. His body, which originally only had skills, also gained some basic training requirements as his level increased. It seemed that this so-called leveling up was to strengthen his body, increase his aptitude, and transform his body to be more suitable for training and stronger. He could imagine that as his level increased, his talent would continue to increase, and his body's requirements would continue to increase. If he had the system's abilities, then being unrivaled would not be a dream. Ding! Organic materials have been detected. Would you like to turn them over to the system in exchange for item points? Ding! Level 10 magic crystal has been detected. Would you like to turn it over to the system in exchange for ability points? Hearing the system's voice, Wu Yan, who was immersed in the pleasure of leveling up, couldn't help but stare blankly. Organic materials? Magic crystals? What's going on? Magic crystals, well, it was easy to understand. He had read about them countless times in novels. Being able to exchange them for ability points was a pleasant surprise, but Wu Yan could still accept it. But what's going on with this organic material? Could it be the wind snake's body? Wu Yan frowned and pondered. Looking at the unlucky snake in front of him, Wu Yan shouted, "Turn it over." The wind snake in front of him gradually turned transparent and finally disappeared. At the same time, the system's voice sounded again. Ding! Obtained 3,000 item points, 500 ability points. It really is. Wu Yan smiled and then asked doubtfully, "System, how do I differentiate the types of items that can be exchanged for ability points?" User, the types of items that can be exchanged for ability points correspond to the type of item. Wu Yan scratched his head, a question mark appeared on his forehead. He didn't think he was stupid, but he only understood a little bit of the system's answer. Well, it was just a little bit. After a series of questions and answers with the system, Wu Yan finally understood. Simply put, turning in equipment can be exchanged for equipment points. Turning in items can be exchanged for item points. The wind snake's body was a type of material, so it was also considered an item, so it could be exchanged for item points. Turning in items with energy element units can be exchanged for ability points. For example, magic crystals can be exchanged for ability points. Then system, what do I have to turn in to exchange for ability points? Although other things were also very loving, but even if they were more loving, compared to the cute girls in the 2D world, they were nothing. What? You said you can summon 3D girls? How shallow, as an otaku, how can you summon 3D characters? That's a crime. When the user turns in an item with life element units, they can receive ability points. Life element units? Don't tell me it's a living person. Wu Yan dryly laughed a few times, his scalp was a little numb as he asked. Reminder to the user, units with intelligence cannot be exchanged. The only units that can be exchanged are those without intelligence. Wu Yan's questions were about to break through the sky. In the 21st century, it's one thing to use professional terms to cheat people, but even the transmigration system knows how to cheat people. No, I was cheated a long time ago. System, can you give me an example? Wu Yan unhappily said. Items with life element units, such as items with vitality, eggs of magic beasts, etc. Why didn't you say that earlier? Why did you mention life element units, really? Wu Yan helplessly sighed. Although the meaning was clear now, but his previous saliva was wasted. It seems that to communicate with the system, you need a certain amount of intelligence and willpower. Looking at the 100 and 110 of Mission 1 and Mission 2, Wu Yan turned off the system. There's still a long way to go. I have to deal with this little cutie in the forest. I don't have time to complain here. I have to hurry up and finish this survival training mission, then find a place with people and stay. If I'm the only human here squabbling with an unknown system, I'll die sooner or later. But I didn't expect magic beast eggs to be exchanged for ability points. Should I go and raid 1 or 2 nests? This is a very serious question. Chapter 4. Roar, Peng. Wu Yan used all his strength to adjust his body, stabilizing his body as he flew backwards. Then, using one hand to support himself, he flipped over, half lying on the ground, using the long sword in his hand to stop himself from falling backwards. Taking a few deep breaths, he cursed in his heart as he looked at the creature that caused all of this and the creature that looked like a tiger or wolf roaring at him. Tiger-bodied demon wolf, level 20. Looking at the words above the 3-meter-tall beast's head again, Wu Yan steadied his mind, stood up, and raised the long sword in his hand. He had originally thought that a level 20 magical beast wouldn't be too far off from a level 10 magical beast. Since he could kill a level 19 magical beast, then killing a magical beast that was one level higher shouldn't be too difficult. Who would have thought that a level 20 demonic beast and a level 19 demonic beast can't be compared at all? The difference between the two is like the difference between heaven and earth. In this battle, Wu Yan can confidently say that a level 20 demonic beast is at least twice as strong as a level 19 demonic beast. It must be known that even a level 19 magical beast was only half as strong as a level 10 magical beast, and this half was due to the difference of 9 levels. Now, it was only a difference of 1 level, but it was almost twice as strong. How could this be compared? At this point, Wu Yan finally understood that it's not right to be reckless, but it was understandable. After all, Wu Yan had only been in this world for a month. To be able to reach this point was already very good. If he had not raised his sword to block the opponent's charge, he would not have simply been sent flying backwards. Holding the sword with both hands, Wu Yan calmly looked at the tiger-bodied demon wolf that was slowly lurking in front of him. In this month of fighting, Wu Yan could be considered to have the mentality of a warrior. At least, in the face of danger, he would not lose his head out of fear. This was much better for him, who was scared out of his wits when he saw the giant snake a month ago. Although it was not impossible for him to win, after a month of fighting, Wu Yan's level had increased a lot. In addition to his sword mastery ability, he still had the ability to fight a level 20 beast. Well, although he was definitely at a disadvantage, since he had already faced it, then there was no use in regretting. At this time, he could only be brave and invincible. Thinking like this, Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Stepping forward, like the wind, he rushed towards the tiger-bodied demon wolf. Roar! Seeing that this little guy dared to provoke it, the tiger-bodied demon wolf became angry. After roaring, its soft body was like a spring, fiercely rushing towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan ignored the tiger-bodied demon wolf's actions and continued to rush forward. When the distance between them was less than a meter, he suddenly jumped up. Almost touching the demon wolf's back and dodging its attack, Wu Yan twisted his body and grabbed the demon wolf's tail. Forcefully pulling, he pulled himself behind the demon wolf. A cold light flashed in his hand and the Kusanagi sword fiercely pierced into the demon wolf's. But, following a burst of blood, the demon wolf let out a sorrowful roar, as if its parents had died. With a swing of its tail, it threw Wu Yan away. Suddenly, Wu Yan's body came into close contact with the ground. After rubbing against the ground for nearly 2 meters, Wu Yan stood up. With his current body, such a large amount of rubbing against the ground would only cause him a bit of pain, and not even a piece of his skin would fall off. However, Wu Yan's clothes were not so lucky. At this time, his otaku clothes, short-sleeved shirt and pants, had become a beggar's clothes. Looking at the demon wolf jumping up and down, Wu Yan snickered. He tore off the rags on his body, revealing his decent-looking upper body. Ever since he had leveled up, Wu Yan's waist was no longer sore, his legs no longer hurt, and his small belly was gone. His body was much better. Compared to his previous small body, it was much stronger. Turning the long sword in his hand, without waiting for the demon wolf to react, Wu Yan arrived behind it. With a slash, he slashed at the demon wolf's back, drawing a huge bloody wound. Wu Yan also knew the wolf's weakness. It was a soft waist. Generally, people who dealt with wolves would start from the waist. Unfortunately, Wu Yan had forgotten that the wolf in front of him was not just a wolf, but a hybrid wolf with a tiger's body. The demon wolf roared and ignored the wound on its back. It raised its claws and sent Wu Yan, who was still preparing to slash a second time, flying. With a bang, Wu Yan smashed into a tree trunk, and blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Although in this month, Wu Yan was injured and bleeding, this did not mean that he was used to it. After all, Wu Yan was very afraid of pain. Without waiting for Wu Yan to catch his breath, the demon wolf jumped in front of Wu Yan, raised its claws again, and swept at Wu Yan. His pupils shrank. Under the horror, Wu Yan awkwardly rolled to avoid the demon wolf's attack. Just as he dodged, the tree trunk was smashed into pieces by the demon wolf. Wu Yan rolled again, rolled to the demon wolf's lower abdomen, and stabbed the Kusanagi sword. While the demon wolf howled in pain, he used all his strength to pull it out. The demon wolf's eyes began to be stained with a little red, which was a sign of madness. Of course, no matter how crazy it was, this battle would not end like this, because from the beginning, this was a battle of life and death. When Wu Yan thought that he could not attack under the demon wolf's belly, the demon wolf's tail was like a whip, fiercely lashing at him. In a hurry, Wu Yan could only raise his hands to protect himself, but unfortunately, he still could not avoid the result of being sent flying. Cough, cough. After rolling a few times, Wu Yan stood up with the help of his sword, coughing out a few mouthfuls of blood. His eyes were a little dim, and his face was frighteningly pale. Wu Yan only felt that his internal organs were stirred, and his whole body was in incomparable pain. Although it was not that he had never been injured, but such a serious injury, Wu Yan was the first time. If it was a month ago, perhaps now Wu Yan would be lying on the ground, wailing. The demon wolf strenuously turned its body, and along with its movement, the blood on its back and abdomen also spilled out. With its eyes wide open, the demon wolf glared at Wu Yan. It seems that its situation was not much better than Wu Yan's. Huff, huff. Constantly gasping, Wu Yan's eyes stared at the demon wolf. At this time, it was a competition of willpower. Whoever could not hold on first, would fall first. I just need to calm down, calm down. After muttering a few times in his heart, Wu Yan calmed down, holding the sword with both hands, but the more he turned, the slower he turned. Finally, he slowly held the sword behind his back. He slowly closed his eyes, adjusted his breathing, and slowly calmed himself down. After mastering sword mastery, Wu Yan's ability to use the sword was not inferior to a sword master who had held the sword for dozens of years. Using a bit of mind's eye and sword sense was more than enough. Wu Yan knew that his body could no longer support his strenuous movements, so he could only use this to decide the victor. The demonic wolf doesn't care what Wu Yan is planning to do. With its immature intelligence, it only knows that the person in front of it is the culprit who caused it so much harm. All it needs to do is to tear him into pieces and swallow him into its stomach, and that's it. Arching its body, the demon wolf jumped towards Wu Yan, and viciously swung its claws at Wu Yan's body. Now is the time. Feeling a gust of wind whistling past, Wu Yan's heart seemed to have a flash of light. His eyes suddenly burst open, and a light flashed through them. The sword in his hand seemed to move without its master's permission, and before the demon wolf's claws could reach him, it stabbed into the demon wolf's eyeball. Huff. Huff. Blood continuously dripped down, and Wu Yan held the Kusanagi sword in his hand, which only had the hilt left, and gasped for air. The demon wolf let out a strange cry, and the blood at the corner of its mouth flowed down like saliva, forming a small pool of blood on the ground. Pulling out the sword, Wu Yan was immediately splashed by the gushing blood. Wu Yan took a few steps back and sat on the ground, his eyes filled with exhaustion. The demon wolf slowly fell, and its huge body let out a roar. Its hind legs shook twice, and then slowly came to a stop. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up, current level, 16. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up, current level, 17. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up, current level, 18. Ding! Quest 1 completed. Obtained 2,000 equipment points, 2,000 item points, 1,000 ability points, 1,000 summoning points. Ding! Quest 3 completed. Obtained 10,000 equipment points, 10,000 item points, 5,000 ability points, 5,000 summoning points. A warm current burst out from the depths of Wu Yan's body, and quickly flowed through Wu Yan's body. As the speed of the flow increased, Wu Yan's body also quickly recovered, and finally, it was completely healed. Wu Yan's pale face began to redden, and the exhaustion in his eyes gradually disappeared. His eyes became very lively, and a faint light could be seen in the depths of his eyes. Grinning happily, Wu Yan climbed up with a gulp sound. He put his hands on his waist and started twisting left and right before he started laughing out loud. Full HP, full MP, full resurrection. The benefits of leveling up. After laughing a few times, Wu Yan sheathed his sword and ran to the side of the dead demon wolf. He raised his hand and fiercely patted the demon wolf's head a few times, and his expression was indescribably proud. I told you to go against me, but you didn't believe me. Now that you've returned to the embrace of your wolf king, what are you looking at? Look again, and I'll sell you. With that said, Wu Yan turned over the corpse to the system, and exchanged it for 5,000 item points and 1,000 ability points. Clapping his hands in satisfaction, Wu Yan opened his character status. Character: Wu Yan. Ability: Sword Mastery, Cooking Mastery. Equipment: Kusanagi Sword, D rank. Summon: None. Equipment points: 24,000 item points, 120000 ability points, 30,000 summoning points, 30,000 level, 18. Obviously, the item points were a lot more than the other types of points. This was also thanks to the unlucky demon beasts that sacrificed their bodies. Although he received a lot of magic crystals, the magic crystals could not be exchanged for a lot of ability points. Even a level 20 demon beast could only be exchanged for 1,000 ability points. As for the summoning points, Wu Yan only reached this point after robbing countless demon beast nests. One could imagine how precious ability points and summoning points were. And this is after he completed 3 quests before he got to this number. As for the equipment points, you can't expect to find any in a forest full of demon beasts. Even if there were, it would only be the unlucky ones that were swallowed into the stomach of a demon beast, so the equipment points were not that much. As for the cooking mastery, it was a skill ability that Wu Yan exchanged for after eating fruits for more than 10 days. It could turn the user into a master chef. Standing up, Wu Yan frowned as he looked at his naked body covered in blood. Looks like I should take a bath. Speaking of which, when was the last time I took a bath? Well, let's not think about it, I'll just take a bath. Chapter 5. Phew. It's a bit cold, but forget it, I'll just make do. In a small lake surrounded by trees, Wu Yan's body shivered as he sank into the water. He rubbed his body to wash off the blood on his body. Although it wasn't winter, it was already the end of autumn. The temperature in the lake wasn't below 0, but it definitely didn't exceed single digits. If it wasn't for the fact that his current body isn't comparable to his previous body, he wouldn't have dared to come down and take a shower. While washing his body, Wu Yan pondered. Now that he had completed all the quests in the Behemoth Forest and reached level 18, he could be considered a small superhuman. Although he didn't know how strong the people in this world were, he should be able to protect himself, right? Should he find a place with people and stay there? Didn't the novels say so? After the main character transmigrated, he would become a savage in the mountains and then come to the city. Then he would be chosen by a big family, a big empire, or something. He would enter the inner circle of the power and undergo a test. Then the crystal ball would explode, the name of the genius would explode, and the small universe would explode. At this time, those big emperors and big clan leaders would eagerly run over and say, "Yes, he's a good seedling, I don't know if you're interested in dating my daughter." Or a granddaughter would be fine too. Hey, weren't you thinking about whether to leave the Behemoth Forest? Why are you fantasizing about it? Wu Yan didn't know that he had deviated from the main topic of his thoughts. He was smiling foolishly, like a hippopotamus. It seemed like he was daydreaming to the extreme. After splashing some water on his face, Wu Yan looked at the empty lake inside. How nice would it be if there was a beauty to scrub my back? You're thinking too much. Maybe not too much. When Wu Yan's voice fell, a delicate voice came from not far away into Wu Yan's ears. Wow. It's a lake. That's great. I want to take a shower. My whole body feels terrible. Wu Yan, who was washing his body in the lake, trembled when he heard the tender voice. Those who didn't know would think that he was fantasizing too much and was satisfied just by hearing her voice. Miss. Don't be anxious. Let's see if there's any danger. At this moment, a more mature and gentle female voice rang out. It seemed to be talking to the young lady she was talking to. Aya, how could such a cute lake be dangerous? You guys wait here. I'm going in. I can't take it anymore. She almost fell into the water. Wu Yan really wanted to tell her that she was really interesting to rush into the water just because she was cute, miss. Slow down. The corner of Wu Yan's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing a petite figure running over from the forest, he felt a certain part of his body hurt. Only the heavens knew that he was just fantasizing. He was just joking just now. Slowly, a girl with long black hair and a unique style wearing a small white coat appeared in front of Wu Yan. She had long black hair and wore a unique style. One look and one could tell that it wasn't from the same world as her. The little girl had a face as beautiful as a fairy. She looked a little childish. Although her petite body was less than 1.7 meters tall, her figure was as hot as a witch's. This point could be seen from her plump breasts that were at least D-sized. When the little beauty saw the water, she started giggling. Not sure if it's because she didn't see Wu Yan or if it's because her body is so uncomfortable, she started taking off her clothes without saying anything else, making Wu Yan dumbfounded. Childish face and big breasts. Long black hair. Natural airhead. Looking at this cute little beauty, Wu Yan couldn't stay calm. Hey hey hey! What are you doing? Wu Yan almost blushed with shame as he shouted. It wasn't because of anything else, but because the beauty in front of him was very agile. She was almost done taking off her clothes. Wu Yan saw the other party stiffen up. She froze in a position where she didn't know if she should take it off or not. Then, she turned her head mechanically and looked at Wu Yan, whose mouth is still twitching. The two people looked at each other affectionately. They looked at each other, and the scene fell into a strange silence. After a long time, the little beauty's mouth slowly opened. Seeing this, Wu Yan secretly said, "Not good." From the conversation just now, it could be seen that the little beauty wasn't alone. She had a companion. Although he didn't know if her companion would help, if she shouted, even if he was the victim, he would try to jump into the Yellow River and not be able to clear his name. Moreover, he was still naked. Wu Yan didn't want to be surrounded by people. The above thoughts flashed through Wu Yan's mind in less than a second. Therefore, Wu Yan made a prompt decision and shouted at the little beauty without hesitation. "What are you doing? Peeping at me bathing?" The little beauty's body stiffened again. Her mouth that was about to open into an "ah" shape turned into an "oh" shape following someone's shameless words. Wu Yan's face was expressionless, but in his heart, he let out a sigh of relief. At least he avoided being surrounded and beaten up. Looking at the little beauty who was completely speechless, Wu Yan's face suddenly revealed a naughty smile. In the past month, Wu Yan had been living a mute life. Other than the occasional conversation with the unscrupulous system, all he did was shout, "Ha, ha, yeah," at magical beasts. Every day, even if he was full of energy, it would still be tormented. And now, with great difficulty, he finally met someone who seemed to be able to talk to him. How could Wu Yan, this unscrupulous guy, not hold back from teasing the other party? Wu Yan's face turned serious and said shamelessly, "What? Do you still want to continue watching? You peeping Tom." The little beauty who was shocked by Wu Yan's words finally closed her mouth. Then, her face slowly turned red. She stretched out a trembling finger and pointed at Wu Yan. You what you? Don't tell me you want to refute? I was bathing here and you suddenly barged in to watch me bathe. If you're not a peeping Tom, then what are you?" Wu Yan fiercely waved his hand and tried to pretend to be angry at her. His eyes were full of smiles. At this moment, the little beauty had already forgotten that the so-called peeping Tom meant peeping and not looking openly. She only knew that the current situation, it seemed like she really did barge in when someone else was bathing. Therefore, the little beauty could only show a look of bewilderment and withdraw her finger. Now, she couldn't run away or not run away. She could only freeze there and didn't know what to do. In the end, she was so anxious that even tears were about to flow down. Wu Yan smiled and looked at the panicked little beauty. He felt a burst of joy in his heart. "Are you a demon?" With his hands behind his head, Wu Yan enjoyed the little beauty's self-directed performance for a while. He curled his lips and finally decided to let her go. "Okay, I won't tease you anymore. But can you turn your head? I want to change my clothes." Although he didn't mind being looked at by the beauty, it was better to be reserved at this time. Otherwise, there would be no fun. Sure enough, she still wants to play, oh. The The little beauty heard this and nodded vigorously. She turned her body and felt that something was wrong in her heart. It seemed that she had suffered a loss. Should I say that a girl's sixth sense is really accurate? Wu Yan walked out of the water and opened the system list. He quickly clicked a few times and spent 100 item points. A set of shirt and trousers with a style similar to the little beauty's with a slight Western flavor appeared in his hands. After the rustling sound, Wu Yan, who had put on his clothes, smiled and looked at the little beauty with her back to him. Okay, you can turn around. God has mercy. When did a little girl experience such a battle? She could only turn her head with an uneasy face and look at Wu Yan with a timid face. Shaking his head in amusement, Wu Yan, who didn't feel guilty at all, said to her, "What's your name?" She slowly took a few breaths and her face gradually calmed down. Looking at Wu Yan, she hesitated and said, Mei Lilu Loli. Lulu, right? Wu Yan touched his chin, then patted her head and said with a smile. You're the little one. I'm not little at all. I'm 17 years old. Not knowing where the courage came from, Lulu, who had a weak face just now, couldn't help but speak loudly. At the same time, Lulu also felt a burst of curiosity. Not only because the other person was so intimate with her calling out a mushy name that even her father didn't call, but also because of the intimate action of patting her head. More importantly, she was curious about Wu Yan. It sounds like he hasn't heard of me before. You know, when she said her name in the past, no matter who it was, after hearing the two words lowly, they would become fawning and respectful to her. But now, this man, who didn't look much older than her, acted like he hadn't heard of her at all. With a natural face, Lulu couldn't help but feel a trace of curiosity in her heart. At the same time, there was a trace of annoyance. Her usual appearance that everyone loved, the appearance that made countless men infatuated, at this moment, to this man, it was like an existence that was completely decorative. Well, don't care about the details. Wu Yan, who didn't know the little girl's thoughts, simply waved his hand and said. Could it be that Wu Yan doesn't love beautiful women? Wrong. Of course, he loves beautiful women. There was no man who didn't like beautiful women. Wu Yan was the same. However, although Lulu had a face that was more beautiful than all the stars in the 21st century, Wu Yan wasn't a fool. Moreover, compared to Lulu, Wu Yan was more of a two-dimensional beauty. Therefore, except for a little surprise at the beginning, Wu Yan didn't have too much expression. He was still him. It was impossible to pretend for a woman. That was too tiring, even if the other party was very beautiful. This was him. Of course, two-dimensional girls were an exception. So, can you tell me, what are you doing here? You didn't really come to peek at me taking a shower, right? Wu Yan said with a smile. That's not it. Lulu made threatening gestures and said. This person is really too bad. I'm just here to train. I saw a beautiful lake and wanted to take a shower. Who knew that there was already someone here? Lulu pouted her small mouth and said with a face full of dissatisfaction. One had to know that she almost stripped herself naked just now. If it wasn't for the other party's timely voice. Wu Yan suddenly understood and nodded. A light flashed in his eyes as he looked at Lulu. Lilu Plum Loli, level 35, stunned, Wu Yan opened his mouth wide. He was speechless in his heart. Although level didn't represent strength, without level, there was definitely no strength to speak of. After the battle with the dead wolf, Wu Yan also understood that every 10 levels was a dividing line. It wasn't difficult for a level 10 warrior to defeat a level 19 warrior. As long as the warrior had better equipment and strength, it was possible to defeat the opponent. However, if a level 19 warrior wanted to defeat a level 20 warrior, it would definitely be a gamble with his life. The one who would die might be himself. When Wu Yan fought with the wolf, although he was only level 15, it was because Wu Yan had the Kusanagi sword that could cut through iron like mud. Coupled with the mystery of the sword mastery, he was able to kill the dead wolf. Without these two conditions, Wu Yan at level 15 would be courting death if he fought with a level 20 magical beast. Who would have thought that a random girl who came out of nowhere would have a higher level than him? Moreover, it was almost twice as high as him. This level, wasn't it a whole level higher than the dead wolf that almost killed him? This proved the truth of this world. Wu Yan was still inexperienced. Chapter 6. Lulu looked at Wu Yan, who suddenly fell into a dark background with a strange expression. Was this person sick in the head? Or is this person actually a human transformed from a magical beast, so his mind is not developed? If that is the case, will I be eaten? That's what Lulu, whose clothes were still in disarray, thought. Following Wu Yan, she too fell into an inexplicable state of worry. Well, I've only been in this world for a month. Reaching level 18 in a month is already pretty good. Maybe she started cultivating when she was young. That's why she was able to reach level 35. That must be it. Wu Yan comforted himself with the spirit of AQ. He revived with a smile on his face, as if the one who was hit wasn't him. Hey, Lulu, wah. Don't eat me. Suddenly hearing Wu Yan's voice, Lulu suddenly cried out, but the content of her words couldn't be ignored. Wu Yan's mouth twitched and his eyebrows twitched. Looking at the girl who curled up in a ball in shock, the girl who just said those shocking words, Wu Yan expressed that he couldn't stay calm. Hurriedly coughing twice, Wu Yan looked at Lulu with a serious expression and said, that. Lulu, you have to know, although you have the value of eating, this eating is also particular about the method. I personally believe that at least when two people are in love, you can reach the level of eating. Right now, although you look very delicious, we haven't fallen in love yet, so I won't eat you. Don't worry. Lulu, who was originally worried, was stunned when she heard this. She was a bit natural, but she wasn't retarded. If she still didn't understand what Wu Yan meant, then she wouldn't be a lively and precocious 17-year-old girl. Lulu jumped up and pointed her trembling finger at the serious-looking Wu Yan. Her face was filled with extreme shame and anger. Who told you to eat me? Wu Yan chuckled, looked at Lulu's delicate face, and said naughtily, you just said it, you told me not to eat you. That was. Lulu didn't know what to do. Should she tell Wu Yan that she thought he was the incarnation of a magical beast and was going to eat her? All right, Wu Yan said with a bored face as he waved his hand after seeing Lulu's performance. In any case, you're level 35, so why are you afraid that I'll eat you? Lulu was stunned again when she heard this. She looked at Wu Yan doubtfully and said blankly, level 35? What does that mean? Wu Yan looked at her strangely, scratched his head, and pondered in his heart. Could it be that the levels in this world were different from what the system showed? It's your level, your strength. Lulu came to a sudden realization. She rolled her eyes and smiled happily. She happily clapped her hands, as if she just thought of something. That's right, I'm a 4th rank magician. I'm not afraid of you, hee, 4th rank magician. This time, it was Wu Yan's turn to be puzzled. What kind of classification system was this 4th rank magician? You don't know? As if their identities had changed, when she saw Wu Yan's puzzled face, Lulu showed a strange expression. However, compared to Wu Yan's strange expression, it was much cuter. Moreover, there was a trace of disbelief. With just a glance, Wu Yan saw through this problem girl's inner thoughts. Helplessly rolling his eyes, Wu Yan said to Lulu, well, just treat me as a savage who just came out from his home in the mountains. Hurry up and tell me what's going on. Oh. So it's like this. Seeing Lulu's enlightened expression, Wu Yan held his forehead with one hand and couldn't help but sigh at the sky. He dared to guarantee with his own integrity that Lulu definitely took his words seriously. Although Wu Yan didn't have much integrity left, after listening to Lulu's natural explanation and Wu Yan's own imagination, Wu Yan had a preliminary understanding of this strange world. Just like the system notification, this world was called the Spalier world. It was a world ruled by empires, clans, and other powers. Putting those scattered families and forces aside for the time being, the greatest forces in this world were the three great empires. The Ailu Empire in the southwest, the Baruba Empire in the north, and the Faya Empire in the southeast. The behemoth forest that Wu Yan was currently in was located in the middle of these three empires. In this world, there were two mainstream professions that countless people yearned for: warriors and magicians. Warriors cultivated battle chi while magicians cultivated magic. With the increase in cultivation and realm, warriors and magicians were divided into 9 ranks. A warrior that reached rank 1 would be a rank 1 warrior. A magician that reached rank 1 would be a rank 1 magician. After breaking through the 9th stage, the 10th stage powerhouses were collectively known as the demigod stage. Powerhouses of this stage were already showing signs of breaking away from humans. With a wave of their hand, they could easily destroy a town. That's why there were less than 5 demigod rank experts in the entire Spalier world. As for demigod rank experts, no, they can no longer be called experts. They should be called gods. Spalier world was named after the first rank 11 god in the history of Spalier, Spalier. Hearing this, Wu Yan felt a lot of pressure. Alright, as long as you're a transmigrator, the world you transmigrate to will most likely have a god rank. This is very normal. Transmigrators, aren't they supposed to become gods? According to Lulu, in the history of Spalier, there were 4 gods. One of them was Spalier, and the other 3 were the 3 empires that were named after themselves: Ailu, Baruba, and Faya. These 4 gods no longer existed. It seems that because of some conflict, it caused a war between the 4 gods. In the end, all 4 gods died. After 10,000 years of war, no more gods were born in the Spalier world. After listening to Lulu's explanation, Wu Yan could more or less tell the similarities between the system's hierarchy and the Spalier worlds. Lulu herself said that she was a rank 4 magician. In this rank, she should be in the middle. According to the system, Lulu was level 35. In other words, level 1 to level 9 were the so-called tier 1, level 10 to level 19 were the tier 2, and so on and so forth. Level 90 was the tier 10 demigod, and the maximum level of level 100 was the tier 10 demigod. So, as a rank 4 magician, Lulu is level 35. Rubbing his brows, Wu Yan felt a bit of a blow to his heart. I'm only a rank 2 warrior. There are so many people in this world who are stronger than me. In the past, I looked down on the people of this world. But at least I'm not like a month ago, completely without a trace of strength. Compared to the people of this world, I have a big advantage. With the system as my backing, Wu Yan can increase his strength as long as he continues to fight. Unlike the people of this world, they have to painstakingly train themselves. What's more, when they meet the legendary bottleneck, they can't make any progress. Wu Yan's increase in strength is completely similar to fighting monsters in online games. As long as there is experience, he can become stronger. There is no such thing as a bottleneck. As long as he is willing to work hard, sooner or later he will become strong. After thinking through this point, Wu Yan also became open-minded. Then, Lulu, where did you come from? Reaching rank 4 at such a young age, you must be a little genius. I already said, I'm not a little genius. Also, you should call me a big genius, not a little genius. Lulu's face was full of unhappiness. She seems to be dissatisfied with the word little. After hesitating for a moment, Lulu continued. Once she opened her mouth, she will not stop until she is shocked to death. I am the only daughter of the Ailu Empire's number 1 family, the Lori family. Lulu said this after a lot of consideration and determination. After all, towards Wu Yan, Lulu is very happy to be able to talk to him even though she is very dissatisfied on the surface. Because she is the only daughter in the family, everyone in the family dotes on her. They can't wait to worship her to the heavens. As for the people outside, because of her family background and heavenly appearance, when they interact with her, if they don't have evil intentions, then it is because of her appearance and family background. So until now, although Lulu has her own friends, but there is no one with a different surname that she can talk to. But Wu Yan appeared in front of her out of nowhere. His natural performance and nonsensical conversation gave Lulu a great sense of familiarity. Although she is a little stupid, she is not unable to differentiate between good and evil. Her intuition tells her that the man in front of her is not a bad person. That is why Lulu decided to tell him her origin. If Wu Yan knew what Lulu is thinking, he would definitely fall to the ground and crawl back up before jumping into the lake in front of him. Then, before he dies, he would yell out his last words. I am not a good person. Don't give me a bad impression when it is the first time you met me. After saying that, Lulu looked at Wu Yan with a little apprehension. She really wants to be friends with Wu Yan. Wu Yan does not know that he has unintentionally captured a half-naive girl to the point of passing favorability. At this moment, he is still thinking about Lulu's origin, melodramatic. It seems like every time a transmigrator comes to a different world, the first beauty they meet is either a princess or the only daughter of a noble family. Is there a need for such a development? No, 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 no. Actually, that's not right. The real melodramatic should be the hero saving the beauty. I just met a beauty, it can only be considered half melodramatic. Although he is cursing in his heart, Wu Yan still said his plan. Then, Lulu, can you bring me out? Lulu looked up at Wu Yan in surprise and pointed at herself. Aren't you surprised? My origin. Wu Yan looked at Lulu in confusion and scratched his face. Then, he suddenly realized and said with a smile, Don't worry Lulu, even if your family is rich, I won't borrow from you, so don't worry. It's not like that. Lulu shouted frantically. Although she is happy that Wu Yan did not care about her family background, Wu Yan's words are really not encouraging. Miss. What's going on? Because of Lulu's shouting, her companions seemed to have noticed something and started to walk over. No, nothing, I am still bathing, don't come over. Lulu hurriedly shouted. Got it. Miss. After waiting for the figures to walk away, Lulu sighed in relief and turned her head, rolling her eyes at Wu Yan. It's all your fault, you made me a fool. If I am found out, what should I do? Wu Yan touched his nose and smiled brightly. A good person does not fight when the odds are against them. Although Wu Yan does not want to be a good person, he absolutely does not want to lose. The bloody scenes on the screen before told Wu Yan that it is best not to offend women, especially little women. Even though that's what he's thinking, Wu Yan feels like he's looking for death. Then Lulu, do you still want to bathe? Lulu blushed and glared at Wu Yan. She crossed her arms and bared her teeth at Wu Yan. Bad guy. Pervert. Chapter 7. Ignoring Lulu's defensive expression, Wu Yan turned around and waved his hand at Lulu. Okay, this should be fine. Really, I didn't have such a big reaction when you saw me bathing. Lulu was angry. Although what he said was true, but no matter how she looked at it, she was the one who was at a disadvantage. How could he be so shameless? I'm not bathing. Lulu turned her head and said angrily. Wu Yan helplessly spread his hands. It was said that people born in the 90s were hard to please. He didn't think that a girl from another world would be so hard to please. With a helpless smile on his face that made people want to punch him, Wu Yan said to Lulu without turning his head, then you should at least get your body wet. Otherwise, it will be easy to be suspected by your companions. Indeed, if she didn't get wet after being in here for so long, then others would definitely be suspicious. At that time, it would be hard to explain. Lulu suddenly looked at Wu Yan with hesitation. Girls love to be clean. These days in the behemoth forest, Lulu lived a life of sleeping in the wilderness. Although she didn't feel it was hard, the life of not being able to bathe was really a bit unbearable. If it wasn't for the fact that she still had to go through the training, Lulu would have already gone home. This was also why she was so happy when she first saw the lake. Now, although Wu Yan's interference and something unexpected happened, Lulu's desire to bathe still didn't change. Although that was what she said, but Wu Yan was a big man standing there, exuding the light called light bulb. How could Lulu relax and bathe? But, you're still here. Lulu said this sentence almost as if she had been wronged. That pitiful look would definitely make a bunch of men howl. Unfortunately, the man on the scene was an unromantic damn otaku. Moreover, his back was facing the beauty and he completely ignored this scene. He should be sent out to be punished by the heavens. There's nothing we can do about it. Wu Yan curled his lips and said, if it weren't for your companions outside, would have already gone out. This is the truth. After being bombarded by the internet in the 21st century, a girl's body is no longer a secret to Wu Yan. Although the meaning is different, how can what is shown on the screen be compared to reality? However, Wu Yan isn't a lecherous ghost, although it's a bit of a pity, that's for sure. Then what should I do? Was she supposed to bathe in front of him? How could this be? Frowning in distress, Wu Yan had no choice but to pick up the large underwear that he had previously thrown on the shore. He looked at the underwear in his hand with a look of disgust. That's yours. Hey, hey. What the hell are you disgusted with? Raising his hand, he tore out a large piece of cloth from his pants and tied it around his face like he's going to die. This should be fine. If you believe me, hurry up and bathe. Lulu looked at everything that happened in astonishment. The corner of her mouth curled up, but she quickly covered her mouth with her hand and resisted the urge to burst out laughing. She looked like she was having a hard time holding it in. Staring at Wu Yan's face for a while, Lulu said with a little amusement, "You can't peek." Wu Yan was really speechless. "Lulu, don't worry, before we reach the passion stage, I won't be in a hurry to eat you." Lulu blushed and glared at Wu Yan. Then she took off her clothes slowly. Listening to the rustling sound of the clothes rubbing against the skin and the splashing sound of the water, Wu Yan had a headache. Isn't this challenging my patience? Why am I still so sensitive at this time? I don't want to be Liu Xiahui. Okay, you can take it off. After an unknown amount of time, Lulu's slightly joyful voice sounded. It woke up Wu Yan, who was counting the monks and nuns. Taking off the underwear cloth from his face, Wu Yan quickly threw it away. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Turning his head, Wu Yan looked at Lulu, who had just come out of the water. Her clothes were already fully put on. Her wet hair and skin with water droplets all showed that she had just taken a bath. Her very beautiful face was full of smiles. It seemed that taking a bath was really a very happy thing for Lulu. Looking at Lulu with admiration, Wu Yan said sincerely, "You don't say, girl, you really have the right to be proud of yourself." After getting used to Wu Yan's tone, Lulu was not so unfamiliar with it. With her hands on her waist, Lulu said to Wu Yan with a proud face, "Of course, you know, I also have a lot of people chasing after me." Looking at Lulu's performance, Wu Yan shrugged. Yes, Lulu is the most beautiful, the most likable. Hurry up and go out. No sincerity at all. Wrinkling her small nose in dissatisfaction, Lulu coldly snorted, turned her head and walked out with Wu Yan. Suddenly, Wu Yan found a very serious problem. "Oh right, Lulu, how are you going to explain to your companion that I am here?" Both of them stopped in their tracks at the same time, maintaining their frozen postures and stiffening on the spot. The scene fell into silence, leaving only the two of them staring at each other and Wu Yan's dry smile. "Miss, you're finally done bathing. If you didn't come out, Miss Feifei would have gone in to find you." When Lulu came out, a middle-aged man with a walk-on face, who looked like a guard, quickly came over and looked at Lulu. His eyes kept drifting over Lulu's body, as if he wanted to see if there was anything missing. "Nothing, it was too comfortable, so I took a longer bath." Lulu looked away a little unnaturally. This is a life full of loopholes. Fortunately, the other party is a wretched uncle who doesn't know how to read people's expressions. "Lilu, you took a really long bath this time." Wu Yan, who was hiding in the forest, heard a steady and gentle female voice. He knew that it was the woman who talked to Lulu at the beginning. From Lulu's perspective, a tall woman wearing a short-sleeved shirt and shorts stood in the middle of a group of guards. The woman had very beautiful silver hair, a face as beautiful as Lulu's, and the bag on her chest was bigger than Lulu's, exuding a mature aura. She looked as charming as Lulu. "Feifei, the water is too comfortable." When Lulu saw the woman named Feifei, she put a smile on her face. She threw herself into the woman's arms and said coquettishly, they looked like sisters. However, Wu Yan also knew that this woman named Fei Fei should be very important to Lulu, but she wasn't Lulu's sister. The reason is simple, Lulu said before that she was an only child. Fei Fei hugged Lulu and looked at her unhappily. There are so many people here waiting for you, aren't you embarrassed? Lulu stuck out her tongue and laughed a few times. She didn't feel embarrassed at all. At this time, Wu Yan knew that it was time for him to appear. He quickly adjusted the Kusanagi sword at his waist and slowly walked out. Who is it? As Wu Yan's footsteps sounded, Lulu and Fei Fei's guards quickly pulled out their weapons and shouted at Wu Yan. Lulu looked at Wu Yan nervously. After the two of them discussed for a while, they got the result that Wu Yan asked her to come out first, then he came out himself. When she asked him what he was going to do, Wu Yan confidently patted his chest and said to her, "Leave everything to me." So, this scene happened. Lulu didn't know what will happen next, so she was a little nervous. Fei Fei tightened her arms around Lulu, looking at Wu Yan who was slowly walking over, she frowned. Although Wu Yan looked harmless, and she didn't feel the existence of dou qi or mana from him, Fei Fei still had a certain degree of vigilance. She didn't want to let others hurt Lulu because of her mistake. Ignoring the guards, Wu Yan walked up to them at a leisurely pace. When he was 5 meters away from them, Wu Yan stopped, opened the system's detection function, and looked at all the guards. Not counting the two beauties in the middle, the group of guards numbered around 30 people. Their levels ranged from level 20 to level 29, so please ignore their names. Looking at the weapons in their hands, Wu Yan immediately determined that these 30 people were warriors. After all, no magician would use weapons like sabers, swords, or pikes. Moreover, magicians were very rare. Learning magic relied heavily on talent. Ordinary people simply couldn't become magicians, so the ratio between magicians and warriors was about 1:100. From this, one could imagine how high Lulu's talent was to be able to become a Tier 4 magician at the age of 17. Over 30 Tier 3 warriors, they were truly worthy of being from the number 1 family in this world. Each of them had the strength to kill him. Thinking about this in his heart, Wu Yan's face didn't change, still looking calm and indifferent. When he saw Lulu, Wu Yan's face finally changed, his expression became serious, and his heart was shocked. Fei Fei, level 68, Tier 7. Okay, Wu Yan admitted that he was shocked. In front of him was a beauty who looked more like a maid than a bodyguard. She didn't look much older than him, but she was almost level 70. It was fine if those middle-aged men were stronger than him, after all, they had lived for so many years. How could a woman who wasn't much older than him be stronger than him, and by so much? Am I still the main character? Wu Yan had already forgotten that Lulu, who was a few years younger than him, was level 35. If this was written into a novel, wouldn't it be a masochistic novel? I don't want to. His heart was violently howling, but on the surface, Wu Yan only narrowed his eyes, not saying a word. Who are you? Why are you here? When Lulu came out, the middle-aged man who spoke first looked at Wu Yan with vigilance. Although he didn't feel any danger from Wu Yan, he still didn't dare to let down his guard. Under the hostile gaze of everyone, Wu Yan hurriedly collected his emotions, then looked at the middle-aged man indifferently, slightly smiled, and a light voice slowly spread among the crowd, passing by, "Soy sauce party." The originally vigilant faces of the people on the opposite side all stiffened. Lulu turned her head, buried her face in Fei Fei's chest, her body trembling non-stop. She really couldn't bear to watch anymore. If she watched any longer, she wouldn't be able to hold back her laughter. Fei Fei also had a calm expression. The originally heavy atmosphere was instantly washed away by Wu Yan's words. At this time, Wu Yan didn't know what he did. He looked at the people on the opposite side with a puzzled expression. Were they intimidated by my domineering aura? After thinking for a while, Wu Yan decided, say it again. Passing by, soy sauce party. The voice rang out again, waking everyone up. Before they could react, Lulu couldn't hold back. She raised her head, looked at Wu Yan with a choked expression, and loudly shouted, "Are you an idiot?" Chapter 8. The sudden roar shocked Fei Fei and the guards who were standing around Lulu. Even Wu Yan, who was standing 5 meters away, felt his head swell and almost threw away the sword in his hand. Lulu angrily ran to Wu Yan and pointed at his nose. Is this what you mean by leave it to you? Are you here to ask for help or to make fun of me? Should Wu Yan feel a sense of accomplishment for making the lively Lulu angry to this extent? Looking at the angry Lulu, Wu Yan shrunk his head and smiled brightly. Well, I just wanted to ease the atmosphere. You're hopeless. Lulu weakly dropped her hand. Facing the troublesome Wu Yan, Lulu expressed that she was powerless. I don't know what to say. Isn't the effect quite good? At this moment, Fei Fei and the group of guards could not wrap their heads around it. It seems that this man is quite familiar with Lilu. But if they are acquaintances, why didn't they greet each other in the beginning? Fei Fei thought more. As Lulu's guardian and bodyguard, Fei Fei knew that Lulu has never made friends with people of different surnames. Even if they have friends with the same surname, there aren't many of them. Where did this person come from? I've never heard of Lilu having such a friend. Also, when did she start making friends with people of different surnames? Why didn't I know? Moreover, it seems that he wants to hide the fact that they know each other. What is going on? Looking at Wu Yan and Lulu who are still fooling around not far away, Fei Fei's questions almost broke through the sky. Excuse me, you are? Fei Fei felt that it was better to ask. The two who were fooling around were stunned when they heard Fei Fei's voice. After reacting, Lulu realized a very serious problem. Oh right, what's your name? I still don't know your name. Wu Yan only felt that a nerve in his head was broken. This half-natural girl really makes people speechless. You don't know my name until now. Fei Fei was even more confused. Doesn't he look familiar? This acquaintance who doesn't even know his name, what kind of friendship is this? Helplessly shaking his head, Wu Yan waved at Fei Fei and said with a smile, My name is Wu Yan, hello beautiful. Oh, so your name is Wu Yan. This half-natural girl suddenly realized something. Mr. Wu Yan, hello, my name is Fei Fei. Seeing that Wu Yan doesn't seem to be a bad person, Fei Fei also relaxed. However, the doubts in her heart still haven't been resolved. Excuse me, do you know my family's Lilu? Hearing Fei Fei's words, Wu Yan and Lulu looked at each other. After a moment of silence, they said in unison, We don't know her. Fei Fei's eyebrows jumped. Looking at the two who have an unusual tacit understanding, she forced a smile. Is that so? Then, you are here too. It seems that in Fei Fei's heart, Wu Yan is looking for Lulu. Wu Yan strangely scratched his head. What should I say? Should I tell her that I don't know the way out of the behemoth forest, so I came to ask for guidance? This seems a bit embarrassing. In fact, Lulu really wants to tell him that he is already very embarrassing. Helplessly spreading out his hands, Wu Yan can only say, Actually, I am just passing by. Fei Fei doesn't know what to say. Logically speaking, if the other party doesn't want to say it, she can't force him. If Wu Yan is an irrelevant person, she can just ignore him. However, no matter how she looks at it, he seems to know Lulu. For a moment, even the smart and capable Fei Fei is at a loss of what to do with Wu Yan's shamelessness. The guards behind him also looked at each other. If someone came to cause trouble, they would have already sent the person out of sight with their swords. However, in this situation, they really don't have the right to say anything. Moreover, after seeing Wu Yan's performance, they don't have the strength to intervene. The situation became a bit awkward for a moment. Wu Yan can only laugh dryly. Who asked him to be so frivolous? Then, Mr. Wu Yan, what do you plan to do next? After thinking for a while, Fei Fei can only say this. Actually, he is lost, so he wants us to take him out. At this time, Lulu doesn't expect Wu Yan to say anything serious. She directly tells Fei Fei the shameful secret in Wu Yan's heart. Wu Yan's smile froze. Fine, he is sure that Lulu wants to take revenge on him. Seeing Fei Fei's strange look, Wu Yan's face is full of tears. The guards can't help but roll their eyes. After all this trouble, the result is that he is lost. Of course, this is also because the other party seems to be familiar with their mistress. Otherwise, if a stranger came to make a fool of himself, his ending would be similar to the magical beast corpse they put aside. Wait, didn't they say that they don't know each other? Then how did the mistress know that he is lost? In fact, Fei Fei also wants to shout, "Can you be more fake?" Rubbing his face, Wu Yan can only wave his hand and say, "Well, it is like this. Miss Fei Fei, when do you plan to leave the behemoth forest? Can you take me with you?" Fei Fei stared at Wu Yan's face for a while, then covered her mouth and laughed. "So it is like this. We also plan to leave the behemoth forest, then Mr. Wu Yan can come with us." "Oh. That's great. We can finally leave this hateful forest." Hearing Fei Fei's words, Lulu is the first to cheer. It seems that Lulu suffered a lot in this forest. Wu Yan also laughed happily. Even if he is an otaku, he doesn't want to stay in a ghost forest where there is no one. Good. Let's go. Let's go home. Lulu proudly waved her hand and ran off into the distance. Wait. Lilu. Fei Fei quickly chased after her. Shrugging his shoulders, Wu Yan felt disdain in his heart. "You say you are not young, but I think you are just a little brat." Turning his head, Wu Yan saw a group of uncles looking at him with unkind expressions. His body trembled and he stiffly laughed a few times, then quickly chased after her. After a whole day of hurrying, Wu Yan and his group finally walked out of the behemoth forest and arrived at a small supply town. The behemoth forest is located in the central region of the three empires. Just in terms of area, it is larger than any of the empires. Moreover, it is rich in magical beasts and natural treasures. It is also the only place in the spalier world where magical beasts can live. Whether it is the body of a magical beast or its magic crystal, they are all very valuable items. Naturally, it attracts the hearts of countless powerhouses and mercenaries. Therefore, in every empire, there is a town that is specially used to supply supplies. It is located in the area closest to the behemoth forest. Wu Yan is actually really lucky. The place he is at is actually the border of the behemoth forest. Therefore, the magical beasts he encountered in this month were only rank 1 or 2 small magical beasts. The highest he encountered was that level 20 death wolf. If he went deeper, he would be in trouble. Fei Fei said that in the depths of the behemoth forest, there are rank 8 or 9 magical beasts. In the centermost area, there are even demigod magical beasts that can transform into human form. After listening to Fei Fei's explanation, Wu Yan knew how lucky he was. Fortunately, when he first transmigrated, he had transmigrated at the border of the behemoth forest. Otherwise, not to mention the rank 8 or even rank 9 magical beasts in the depths of the behemoth forest that Fei Fei said, even a rank 3 or 4 magical beast would be able to send Wu Yan back to his hometown. Even Fei Fei and the rest only went a little deeper at the border. They didn't dare to go too deep. And from Fei Fei, Wu Yan also learned about Lulu's training objective this time. 10 rank 4 magical beasts. Looking at the shiny 10 rank 4 magical crystals and some unlucky rank 2 or 3 magical crystals that were, conveniently, killed, Wu Yan looked at the sky, speechless. According to the system's notification, the magical crystals that Lulu obtained after a week of training were equivalent to the points that he earned after a month of hard work. Of course, this also included the dismembered corpses of the magical beasts that were carried by the guards. After the group entered the supply town and walked on the streets, Wu Yan felt that the buildings and people's clothes were very out of place. If not for Lulu and the rest walking in front, Wu Yan would have thought that he had transmigrated to the fairy's tale world. "What are you looking at?" Pulled back by Lulu's voice, Wu Yan turned around and saw Lulu curiously looking in the direction he was looking at. Wu Yan rolled his eyes. "I say, Lulu, can't you restrain your curiosity a little?" God knows how many times Wu Yan was harmed by Lulu's curiosity during this long journey. If it weren't for the fact that Lulu was beside him, he might have even been asked about the color of his underwear by Lulu. "But I'm just curious," Tutu muttered. Lulu almost put an oil bottle in her mouth. Glancing at Lulu, who was like a cat, Wu Yan said helplessly, "Lulu, you're curious even when I'm looking at the street. I'm just curious about what boys pay attention to. I've never made a boyfriend before." Lulu reached out 2 little fingers and kept touching them with an aggrieved expression. Wu Yan rubbed his forehead with one hand and sighed at the sky. "It's really easy for people to mistake you for a mountain barbarian." Lulu looked up and giggled, "Mountain barbarian? Isn't that you?" Wu Yan's heart stopped. He wanted to cry but had no tears. "Fine, I'm the one who's asking for trouble. That's why I called myself a mountain barbarian. Why didn't I call myself a noble who came out to train?" Wu Yan seems to have forgotten that the nobles who are training are right beside him. "Fine, I'm a mountain barbarian. Little princess, shouldn't you tell me where to go next?" Lulu tilted her head cutely and puffed out her cheeks. Wu Yan couldn't help but want to pinch her cheeks. Fei Fei said we'll find a hotel to rest for a day and take the airship home tomorrow. Wu Yan stopped and looked at Lulu expressionlessly. "What did you say?" "Take what?" "Say it again." "Airship. It's a large flying machine made with alchemy. It uses mana as fuel to achieve fast flight. Once you take the airship, a month's journey can be shortened to a few days. Isn't it amazing? At the town's floating plaza, as long as you pay the fee, you can take the airship. You can go anywhere you want. Too bad you can only go within the Ailu Empire." "Is that so? Then, is the airship made by a magic guild called Cyan Pegasus?" Wu Yan felt like he should try to find Naz or something. Cyan Pegasus Magic Guild? I've only heard of Mercenary Union, Magic Guild, and Alchemist Union. I've never heard of a Cyan Pegasus Magic Guild. Although the name sounds pretty good. "Oh right, why did you bring it up?" Wu Yan laughed dryly. "Well, don't mind the details. What matters is the number 9. Alright, hurry up and catch up with Fei Fei and the others. They're almost gone." Wu Yan interrupted Lulu when he saw that she was about to say something else. Then, he took big strides and ran up to her. "What's 9? Hey! Wait for me." Lulu stomped her foot angrily. She ignored the countless gazes her cute appearance attracted and chased after Wu Yan. Chapter 9. The next day, Wu Yan walked out of the hotel after washing up. To be honest, Wu Yan wished he didn't have to spend the night in this hotel. The reason was simple: he had no money. Recalling how he said he didn't have any money yesterday and how Lulu generously said, "Leave the money for your bed to me," and how the hotel owner looked at him with disdain, Wu Yan really wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. Just as he walked out of the hotel, Wu Yan saw Lulu and the others ready to go. Lulu strode to his side and pouted with dissatisfaction. "So slow, sleeping for so long, you're like a pig." Wu Yan couldn't help but roll his eyes. This is already considered very early. Back when he was at home, he used to sleep until noon. Who would wake up so early in the morning like this? "Mr. Wu Yan, what do you plan to do next? I heard from Lulu that you don't have anywhere to go." Actually, Lulu told Fei Fei that Wu Yan was a savage from the mountains who got lost while looking for food. However, Fei Fei embellished the story. "Yeah, Wu Yan, where are you going next? Why don't you come home with me?" Hearing Lulu's words, Wu Yan's face fell. "What do you mean come home with me? Are you a bandit king looking for his wife?" Fei Fei looked at Lulu in shock. This was the first time Lulu invited someone to her home. Wu Yan pondered. To be honest, he hasn't thought about where to go. He's an otaku who came to this world for only a month. Even when he was at home, he didn't go far, let alone in this world where he has no one to rely on. "I'll go take a look at the Mercenary Union." After thinking for a bit, this is the only way he could come up with. Following Lulu is a good idea, but let's not talk about whether or not he'll be living off her. First of all, he won't have the chance to level up. Although the way to gain EXP isn't necessarily to kill the other party, but finding someone to spar with is not a real fight, so he won't get any EXP. This system is pretty smart. Moreover, he would definitely summon some 2D girls in the future. If he followed Lulu, he might be able to fool Lulu, but he wouldn't be able to explain it to Feifei. So, being a mercenary was the best way. He could get rewards and level up. Plus, he had a lot of freedom. Mr. Wu Yan, are you planning to be a mercenary? Feifei nodded. If he really had nowhere to go like what Lulu said, then being a mercenary was indeed a good idea. Ah, how can that be? Hey, isn't it good to come home with me? Well, there were actually people who objected. Lulu was very curious about Wu Yan, this mysterious guy. To her, Wu Yan was just a playmate to pass time. Lulu was a little unwilling to let such a playful thing leave. Wu Yan didn't know what Lulu was thinking, but Wu Yan had a premonition that following Lulu wasn't a good thing. Miss. Suddenly, a group of about 100 riders appeared not far from where Wu Yan and Co are. The leader is a guy who looks about the same age as Wu Yan. He's wearing a suit of armor that isn't golden, but it's still very flashy. Wu Yan reckoned that the broad sword hanging at his waist would be worth more if he sold it than chopped it up. Slayiforms, level 25, apart from him, the riders behind him were all around level 10. Although they had more people, their strength was generally a level lower than Lulu's guards. For some reason, when Wu Yan saw Slayiforms, he felt that he might be in trouble. After a series of footsteps, Slayiforms led a group of riders in front of Lulu. He said to Lulu, "Miss, the airship is ready. We can leave at any time." "Why are you here?" Lulu said with a bit of dissatisfaction. She was racking her brain to come up with a bunch of words to make Wu Yan stay. Who knew that this Slayiforms would suddenly appear and interrupt her, causing her to forget all the good ideas she worked so hard to come up with. "Young girl, you should save your energy and think about what to eat for lunch." "Lulu, they were sent by your father to escort you home." "I only received the news yesterday." Although Feifei had been with Lulu for a long time, Feifei didn't know what this natural girl was thinking. She didn't know why she was suddenly unhappy. She could only smile bitterly and say, "Lulu, they were sent by your father to escort you home. Dad is too much. I'm not a child. If I were your dad, would also worry if a half-natural girl like you would get lost." This was the thought of a certain homebody who had been lost for a month. At this moment, Slayiforms was staring at Lulu. His eyes drifted up and down Lulu's body, flashing with infatuation and lust from time to time. This scene was clearly seen by Wu Yan, who was using the system's detection function to observe him. Curling his lips, Wu Yan knew what this show-off was thinking even if he used his knees to think. Perhaps a naive girl like Lulu didn't notice anything, but Feifei seemed to have known this would happen. Although her face was expressionless, there was obvious disgust in her eyes. "Forget it, I don't care about other people's family matters. I believe that with Feifei here, nothing will happen to Lulu. After all, Feifei is a rank 7 powerhouse. Moreover, she's a very rare magician." This was what Wu Yan found out after a day of interaction. "Lulu, Feifei, then we will part ways here." Thus, Wu Yan decided to carry out his plan to level up. "Ah. Wait. Who are you? Who gave you the right to call the young miss like that?" As if only now noticing Wu Yan, Slayiforms looked at Wu Yan with a frown. He arrogantly shouted at Wu Yan. Wu Yan sighed in his heart. "Who said that a woman's intuition is accurate? My intuition isn't bad either. This guy is really looking for trouble." Wu Yan completely ignored this show-off and waved his hand at Lulu. He turned around and prepared to leave. Slayiforms was furious. Ever since he became the night captain of the Lori family's night squad, who didn't treat him with respect. Even those rank 4 and 5 guys didn't dare to offend him. Now, an ordinary stinking brat without a trace of do chi or mana actually dared to ignore him. Moreover, Slayiforms was angry at how Wu Yan called Lulu. In this extremely possessive guy's heart, other than himself, he wouldn't allow any other man to even glance at Lulu. Moreover, Wu Yan called Lulu so intimately. This caused Slayiform's anger and jealousy to surge. With a clang, Slayiforms unsheathed his knight sword. Without using Do Chi, he slashed towards Wu Yan's back. This sudden scene caused everyone to be stunned. Even Feifei didn't think that Slayiforms would suddenly attack. By the time she reacted, it was already a bit too late. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. He didn't expect that. All he did was call out to Lulu and ignore him in passing, and then he drew his sword and attacked. Moreover, listening to the whistling sound of the wind behind him, he didn't show any mercy at all and wanted to kill him. This Slayiforms, not to mention not using Do Chi, even if he did, he would at most be level 25. Although Wu Yan was only level 18 and was almost a level lower than him, he wasn't completely powerless. When he was level 15, he was able to solo a monster that was 5 levels higher than him. Even if Slayiforms used Do Chi, he was able to solo a monster that was 7 levels higher than him. Why would he be afraid? Now, Slayiforms didn't use Do Chi and even used a sword in front of him who had mastered sword mastery. He was really looking for death. Before Slayiform's sword could slash down, Wu Yan quickly placed his sword on the hilt. After a cold light flashed, a bloody light bloomed at the same time. Ah! A scream attracted everyone's attention. When everyone looked towards the source of the sound, they couldn't help but gasp. They saw that Slayiforms, who was still arrogant just a moment ago, had his sword hand severed at the wrist. Fresh blood flowed out continuously. Slayiforms kept howling, holding his severed hand and rolling on the ground. Captain! The cavalry brought by Slayiforms were all shocked. At the same time, they pulled out their knight swords from their waists and aimed at Wu Yan, planning to surround him and beat him up. Stop! Feifei coldly shouted. Following the shout, a large amount of magic enveloped everyone present, causing everyone, including Wu Yan, to tremble. Wu Yan, are you okay? Lulu ran to Wu Yan with a worried face. Her heart was full of guilt. Her own people almost killed her own friend. How could this kind girl not blame herself? Although he only knew Lulu for a few days, Wu Yan still knew a little about this girl's temperament. Perhaps because he saw Lulu's self-blame, Wu Yan found it funny and knocked her head. His heart was moved. In any case, he only knew Lulu for a few days. Although it wasn't his fault, Lulu still cared about his safety after he killed her people. This proved that this girl was worthy of Wu Yan's deep friendship. What could happen to me? But Lulu, the people in your family don't seem to be very good at disciplining people. Although he said this, Wu Yan's face didn't have the slightest hint of blame. After all, the one in the wrong was Slayiforms, not Lulu. So, sorry. Lulu covered her forehead and said with an aggrieved face. Wu Yan almost fell over from her cuteness. Feifei saw this scene and was slightly relieved. Fortunately, it seemed that Mr. Wu Yan didn't mean to blame Lulu. Otherwise, with Lilu's kind personality, she would definitely feel guilty for the rest of her life. Mr. Wu Yan, I'm really sorry. I will definitely take care of this matter. Feifei said seriously to Wu Yan. In fact, she had long wanted to get rid of these people who had bad intentions towards Lulu. She just couldn't find an excuse. Now was the right time. Wu Yan nodded. To be honest, he really didn't take this matter to heart. If it was in the past, let alone killing people, he wouldn't even dare to cut people's hair. However, after a month of fighting in the behemoth forest, Wu Yan's heart had hardened a lot. Since the other party wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to be polite. According to Wu Yan's words, it was already good enough that he didn't chop him to death. Moreover, this time, the other party had provoked him with hostility. This allowed Wu Yan to happily rise to level 20 and reach tier 3. Such a simple battle, Wu Yan's mood was unimaginably good. Looking at Lulu, who lowered her head and didn't dare to look at him, Wu Yan patted her head and said, "Alright, Lulu, isn't it just a slime? I didn't take it to heart, so don't blame yourself." Really? Lulu looked at Wu Yan pitifully. Helpless, Wu Yan could only nod again. Only then did Lulu smile. Alright, I have to go. If there's a chance, I'll look for you. Wu Yan said to Lulu as he took 2 steps back and sheathed his sword. Then. Alright, you can't go back on your words. Lulu said reluctantly as she handed her home address to Wu Yan. Wu Yan smiled and nodded. He also nodded at Fei and then walked towards the mercenary union. As for that slime, well, according to the usual practice, just ignore it. Chapter 10. Wu Yan was walking on the street with a list in his hand. On it was the estimated value of various magical beast parts and rare treasures from the behemoth forest. How could one not have enough money to travel in this world? Leveling up was important, but earning money was also the most important thing. But Wu Yan was new here and didn't know what the market was like. If something that was originally worth 1 gold coin was sold for 10 gold coins, wouldn't that be a huge loss? So Wu Yan asked Fei for this list. Wu Yan walked aimlessly while flipping through the list in his hand. On this list, not only did it have the value of magical beast parts and rare treasures, it also had the value of equipment. But here, people called equipment armaments. Other than the normal weapons used by ordinary warriors, any equipment that added a bit of strength was called armaments. According to the different effects and power of the armaments, they were divided into 5 levels. They were common armaments, rare armaments, gold armaments, legendary armaments, and the strongest mythical armaments. And his D-grade Kusanagi sword was equivalent to a common armaments. Don't think that just because it had the word common, it meant that common armaments were cheap. The so-called common armaments didn't mean that everyone in the world had one. Common armaments meant that most warriors and magicians could only use this level of armaments, so it was called common armaments. Ordinary warriors and magicians, if they had good conditions, would have a common armaments. If they didn't have good conditions, they would only be able to wear a common armaments when they reached the 5th or 6th rank. Only warriors and magicians above the 7th rank could have a rare armaments. For example, Fei had a rare armaments. Of course, for the only daughter of a large family like Lulu, even if she was only at the 4th rank, she also had a rare armaments. This was a gift from her father for her coming-of-age ceremony at the age of 16. Before that, Lulu had always been using common armaments. As for gold armaments, ordinary people of the 7th rank couldn't possibly have one. Of course, there were exceptions. Gold armaments were usually owned by powerhouses of the 8th or 9th rank. For example, Lulu's grandfather, the previous head of the lowly family, a powerhouse of the 9th rank, used a gold armament. As for legendary armaments, in the entire Spalier world, there were less than 10 of them that had been passed down, and their whereabouts were unknown. Finally, when Fei gave Wu Yan the list, she told Wu Yan that she had never even heard of the strongest mythical armament, let alone seen it. Only when she was young did she hear Lulu's grandfather mention it. It seemed that 10,000 years ago, when the 4 gods were still alive, there was such a mythical armament. Wu Yan still remembered that when he first heard it, he was secretly speechless. This Spalier world that was evaluated by the system to be 10 times the size of the Earth, from ancient times until now, there was only one mythical armament. According to the system's statement after combining the list in Wu Yan's hands, the 5 levels of armaments in the Spalier world were the same as the system's equipment level. The system's equipment was also divided into 5 levels, from the lowest level to the highest level, S level. Of course, those equipment that did not have a level could barely be considered a level. Wu Yan's Kusanagi sword was D level, which corresponded to common armaments. Therefore, in the system, those C-level equipment corresponded to rare armaments, B-level corresponded to gold armaments, A-level corresponded to legendary armaments, and S-level corresponded to mythical armaments. When he heard the system's analysis, Wu Yan's heart was both happy and annoyed. What made him happy was that the legendary mythical armament, which was also an S-class equipment, was available in the system. Not only did it exist, but compared to the Spalier world where there was only one mythical armament, there was more than one S-level equipment in the system. Although there were not many, it was still much better than this world. And the annoyance was that Wu Yan could only look at it happily because Wu Yan had seen that the cheapest S-level equipment cost 1 million equipment points. Taking everything into account, Wu Yan's current equipment points were only 24,000 points. It would be a long time before he could afford the S-level equipment. After the annoyance, Wu Yan was able to accept it. After all, he had just reached level 20. In this world's standards, he had just reached Tier 3. To have a common armament at Tier 3 was already very good. Otherwise, Wu Yan wouldn't have killed that damn wolf with the Kusanagi sword and kendo mastery. Even that slime could only hold a knight's sword. He didn't even have a common armament. He was the captain of the Ailu Empire's #1 family. Although he was only Tier 3, even he didn't have a common armament. One could imagine how precious the armaments in this world were. Originally, he wanted to exchange it for a C-rank armament, but he gave up on that idea. Rare armaments are usually owned by Tier 7 and above. If a mere Tier 3 warrior like him has a rare armament, I think those Tier 7 who are still troubled by the lack of a rare armament wouldn't mind robbing him for a bit. Flipping to the last page of the list, Wu Yan understood the market price of this world. At least he wouldn't suffer a loss. But whether or not he would suffer a loss was a matter for later. Right now, Wu Yan didn't have a single cent on him. Without money, even if he wanted to suffer a loss, he couldn't. Even the cost of his hotel room was paid for by Lulu. This was the shame of his life. Wu Yan would never forget it. That's why Wu Yan wanted to become a mercenary as soon as possible. He wanted to earn money through mercenary missions. Although Wu Yan could also resell the items he exchanged from the system to earn money, there were some things that could be exchanged with points rather than gold. Wu Yan could exchange for items from the system and sell them. For example, Wu Yan's Kusanagi sword was worth 3,000 points, but if he auctioned it off, he could earn tens of thousands of gold. On the other hand, doing mercenary quests would allow him to kill monsters from time to time, level up and then complete the quests and get the bounty. Leveling up and farming money at the same time, so he still wants to do quests to enrich his strength and wallet. After arriving at the mercenary union, Wu Yan pushed open the door and walked in. Suddenly, he was greeted by a loud noise, shaking Wu Yan. He saw that in the mercenary union, the mercenaries were divided into several groups, big and small. Big and small tables were put together, eating and drinking. These mercenaries were either celebrating after completing a mission or preparing to set off for another mission. Of course, there were also some mercenaries who were chatting idly. After all, there were both young and old mercenaries, and there were also some who were of all kinds of moral conduct. As expected of the legendary mercenary union in the novel world. It's not simple. Now, Wu Yan finally knew that this mercenary union was not ordinary. At least, the soundproofing was really good. At least, when he was outside, he didn't hear a single sound. Who knew that it would be so noisy inside? Looking at this place that was more like a bar than a union, Wu Yan curled his lips and walked to the desk. Is there anything I can help you with? The person in charge of the office was a pretty girl. When she saw Wu Yan walk over, she immediately put on a formal smile and said to Wu Yan, "I want to become a mercenary. What kind of procedures do I have to go through?" Although the girl's smile was cute, it was nothing compared to Lulu and Feifei. Moreover, Wu Yan also emphasized that he was cuter, so he didn't beat around the bush and said straightforwardly, "Okay, I understand. If you want to become a mercenary, you must first have the strength of at least rank 1. May I ask if you..." "I'm already rank 1. Not only rank 1, I'm already rank 3. Of course, Wu Yan didn't say the last sentence. "In that case, please fill in this form and pay 2 silver coins. That's all." After handing the form to Wu Yan, she looked at Wu Yan with a smile. Wu Yan could see that the word pay was written on her face. Speechlessly rolling his eyes, Wu Yan took out a magic crystal and put it on the desk. He said to her, "Can I pay with a magic crystal?" When she saw the magic crystal, the girl's smile became wider. After Wu Yan finished speaking, she said, But if you want to pay with a magic crystal, we won't give you the rest." Wu Yan raised his eyebrows. Damn, is this the legendary passive and no change? The magic crystal that Wu Yan took out may only be a tier 1 magic crystal, but it's still worth 100 gold coins. If it wasn't for that shameful lodging last night, in order to not repeat the same mistake, he wouldn't even be able to pay for the paperwork if he didn't steal this magic crystal from that side character Slime after that shameful night's lodging. But what could he do? Who told him to be poor? A penny stumped a hero. Just a moment ago, he was still trying to understand the market price so that he wouldn't be cheated. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, there would be a pit that he had no choice but to jump into? 100 gold coins, pure gold. If he sold it in his world, he would have at least 100,000 celestial coins. Well, that's it. Trying to look calm, Wu Yan handed in the form and took back a mercenary badge with the word D on it. Then, he left the desk without looking back. Near the door was the mission panel that gave out mercenary missions. There was also a girl there. She was similar to the girl in charge of the office. She looked quite delicate. Glancing at the mission panel, Wu Yan touched his chin. What kind of mission should he do? The missions on the panel ranged from S to D. As long as he was alive to complete them, they wouldn't be afraid of him not taking them. Help me register the missions Red Honey, Giant Cow Fur, and Rainbow Dew. After a while, Wu Yan said to the girl sitting next to the mission panel. Okay, please wait a moment. Just as Wu Yan finished registering the missions, a voice passed through Wu Yan's ears and directly into his mind. Mercenary Mission, C rank. Mission 1, obtain 10 red-tailed giant bees honey mission reward, 5,000 equipment points, 5,000 item points, 3,000 ability points, 3,000 summoning points. Mission 2, kill the giant hairy bull and obtain 10 pieces of giant hairy bull pelt. Mission reward, 5,000 equipment points, 5,000 item points, 3,000 ability points, 3,000 summoning points. Mission 3, collect 1 liter of rainbow dew. Mission reward, 5,000 equipment points, 5,000 item points, 3,000 ability points, 3,000 summoning points. The 3 missions in a row made Wu Yan stunned. Why is the system's mission the same as the mercenary mission I accepted? This. Could it be that the system and mercenary missions can be completed at the same time? Okay, he admits that he's pleasantly surprised. This way he has a fixed method of farming points. Killing demonic beasts is also a fixed method of farming points, but killing demonic beasts only gives him item points and ability points. Although he's not lacking in equipment points at the moment, who wouldn't want points delivered to their doorstep? The most important thing is the summoning points. This is the key to summoning the 2D girls. Originally, Wu Yan was a bit depressed after being cheated of 100 gold coins. But in the blink of an eye, he was all smiles. Feelings, your mood will be adjusted according to the number. After leaving the mercenary union, Wu Yan directly ran towards the behemoth forest. Chapter 11. Ding. Congratulations on leveling up. Current level, 28. Wu Yan's tired body shook a little, then he became energetic again. This familiar feeling made Wu Yan reluctant to leave. Not only because of the increase in strength, but also because it made his body feel very comfortable. Every time he leveled up, it was a pleasure. After cutting off a piece of meat from a rank 3 monster, Wu Yan waved his hand and turned it over to the system. After receiving some ability points and item points, Wu Yan sat down and started a fire to roast the meat. Although he didn't have any seasoning on him, Wu Yan was very serious about roasting the meat. With the cooking expert ability, even if it was just roasting meat, it would still be very delicious. Character, Wu Yan ability, sword expert, cooking expert equipment, Kusanagi sword, D rank, summon, none equipment points, 40,000 item points, 250000 ability points, 70,000 summoning points, 70,000 level, 28 after 2 months, this was all Wu Yan had gained. In these 2 months, Wu Yan had been constantly running between the mercenary union and the behemoth forest, doing missions and killing monsters. Logically speaking, he should have been tired of it by now, but Wu Yan forced himself to endure. Although he didn't want to admit it, Wu Yan knew that he was still very weak. Ever since he came to this world, Wu Yan had met no one who was lower level than him. Although the explanation from others was that those who were weak didn't dare to come to the behemoth forest, Wu Yan didn't want to use this as an excuse. Even an evil slime that can only be used as a newbie monster to farm experience is higher in level than him. How can he not be shocked by this? Not to mention, he was only in this world for a month and that slime was not much older than him. There was also Lulu, a 17-year-old genius girl. Without the word genius, she was still just a girl. But she was already level 35, a rank 4 magician. Also, those bodyguards were all at the 3rd rank. They were much stronger than him at that time. Even the trash cavalry brought by Slime had the strength of rank 2. At that time, I was only level 18, rank 2. The Lori family was one of the top forces in this world, the number 1 family in the Ailu Empire, one of the top 3 empires. They definitely wouldn't only have 1 cavalry and guards. This proved that there were many people stronger than him. Moreover, if there was a number 1 family, then there would be a number 2 family, a number 3 family. Even if they were weaker than the Lori family, they shouldn't be too far behind, right? After all, they were a big family in a big empire. Moreover, this was only 1 empire. The other 2 empires also had their own number 1 family and number 2 family. Most importantly, Feifei, the girl whose age Wu Yan found out, was only 24 years old. She was older than Wu Yan by 3 to 4 years, but she was already a rank 7 warrior. Even in the whole world, she was someone who could stand in front of others. All of this was cruelly telling Wu Yan that he was really weak. Although he didn't have any great ambition to dominate the world, Wu Yan was just an ordinary person before he transmigrated. What ambition could he have? However, Wu Yan wasn't someone who was willing to bow down to others. Wu Yan was very clear that in this world, strength was everything. Without strength, in this world where superhumans were everywhere, he could either be an ordinary person and live an ordinary life. In order not to offend warriors and mages who could kill him with 1 hand, he had to hide and guard against those powerful people every day. He had to live a well-behaved life and entrust his life to others. Even if he died, no one would care about an ordinary person. Or, to control his own fate, to become stronger. To become stronger than anyone else. In this world, there was definitely more than 1 slime. The next person who wanted to kill him over a small matter, who knows what rank they would be? Rank 4? Rank 5? Rank 6? He could rely on Lulu and Feifei to avoid a disaster, but one day, even Feifei had no choice but to compromise. At that time, he could only be trampled on. Let's not talk about others, just Lulu, as the only daughter of a big family. If he wanted to continue being friends with her, he had to increase his strength. People from big families were very realistic. Perhaps Lulu didn't care, but her family definitely wouldn't want her to be friends with a weakling. They would only value people and then make a choice. There was also Feifei. She was a rank 7 magician. Although she looked very gentle, Wu Yan knew that if it weren't for Lulu, he might not even have the qualifications to talk to Feifei. It wasn't that Feifei was realistic, but in this world where strength was paramount, this kind of situation was just a common phenomenon. Would you chat with an ant that accidentally crawled by you? Who knows how to do it? Please tell me. In this world, without strength, one was an ant. Those who were strong, although not all of them, at least most of them wouldn't suddenly say that they wanted to be friends with a weakling. It was so cruel and realistic. Of course, there were exceptions for those who had special encounters. For example, Wu Yan had to go through the lake bath peeping incident to be able to talk to Lulu. If Wu Yan was just an ordinary adventurer at that time, when he passed by Lulu and Feifei, he might not even see their faces before he was persuaded to leave by Lulu's bodyguard. In order to not become people from 2 different worlds, in order to not be said, "What qualifications do you have?" by others, Wu Yan could only become stronger. In consideration of himself, in consideration of others, in order to not get a free lunch for no reason, Wu Yan could only become stronger. Therefore, in these days, besides drinking water, eating, sleeping, bathing, and hurrying, Wu Yan spent all his time leveling up. With the behemoth forest map that Feifei gave him, Wu Yan also knew where was safe and where was dangerous. Well, although he spent a lot of time at the beginning to understand that deceptive map, rising 9 levels in 2 months seemed very little, but in this world's terms, rising from a newly promoted Tier 3 warrior to a peak Tier 3 warrior who was about to break through to Tier 4 in 2 months. If this news were to spread out, it would definitely shock everyone to the point where their jaws would drop. It must be known that Lulu, this super genius, started cultivating at the age of 10. At the age of 11, she became a second-rank magician. At the age of 13, she became a third-rank magician. At the age of 16, she reached the 4th rank. From the 3rd rank to the 4th rank, Lulu spent 3 years. As for Feifei, it took her nearly 2 years to rise from the 3rd rank to the 4th rank. Moreover, while Wu Yan was increasing his strength, he could also earn points, which could be used as a versatile backup resource. Thus, Wu Yan was very satisfied. Raising the roasted meat that was shining with a golden light, Wu Yan smiled and prepared to reward his internal organs. Beep. Instance dungeon system activated. Wu Yan's mouth, which was about to bite into the meat, remained in that position, stunned. Frowning, Wu Yan moved his chin back to its original position and asked in confusion, "Instance dungeon? System, what is this instance dungeon?" User, after you have been in the Spalier world for 3 months and have survived, the instance dungeon system will be activated. User can choose the instance dungeon you like and increase your level and points through instance dungeon missions, instance dungeon time, instance dungeon resources, etc. Hearing this, Wu Yan could not help but feel happy. Increase level? Increase points? This is a good thing. Pulling open the system list that originally only had status, equipment, tools, ability, and summon, now had an additional instance dungeon option. Wu Yan did not say anything and directly opened the instance dungeon option. Suddenly, one instance dungeon after another appeared before Wu Yan's eyes, almost blinding Wu Yan's dog eyes. Wu Yan was very happy to find that in these instance dungeons, in addition to some that he did not understand and did not want to understand, there were also games and anime worlds. I can enter the world of anime? Wu Yan was in a daze and did not react for a long time until the barbecued meat in his hand began to turn cold and the bonfire began to extinguish. Only then did Wu Yan come back to his senses and his heart was filled with ecstasy. Is this the fantasy land of an otaku? System. Although I don't know where you came from, I am sincerely grateful to you even though you always cheat me. Wu Yan, who was immersed in joy, began to excitedly flip through the instance dungeon list. However, he soon found a problem. System, why are these instance dungeon options grayed out? Wu Yan tried to select an instance dungeon but nothing happened. This made Wu Yan puzzled. Could it be that I have to pay again? User, the instance dungeon selection requires a certain amount of payment, so I have to pay a fee. So, it is like this. I knew it. Benefits do not fall from the sky, you have to fight for them. Of course, the user can also choose to enter the instance dungeon for free. However, the contents of the instance dungeon can only be randomly selected. Wu Yan, who was about to cry, suddenly swallowed back the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He could not help but feel suffocated and his expression was quite ugly. Young man, it is not good to hold it in too much. Helplessly sighing, Wu Yan could only say, System, can I choose the type of instance dungeon? For example, I want to enter an anime-type instance dungeon and then randomly select the contents of the instance dungeon. What do you think of this? After a few seconds of silence, it seemed to be thinking. Of course, as long as this unscrupulous system can think, system regulations do not allow the user to reject this suggestion. Therefore, the system will make its own judgment. The system has decided to agree with the user's suggestion. This suggestion is approved. Wu Yan grinned and laughed loudly. System, hurry up and choose the instance dungeon. Wu Yan could not wait to enter the world of anime. Beep. Beginning to select the appropriate instance dungeon according to the user's strength state. Okay, system, you are really considerate. Wu Yan, who who was slow to realize, felt a lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, the system has this function. Otherwise, if he entered a world like Dragon Ball, he would definitely be blasted to hell together with the earth by those who wanted to destroy it. Moreover, this was not the end. After that, he would be resurrected by Sun Wukong and the others. When a new enemy appears, he would die again and be resurrected again. Following the system's voice, a glowing frame began to flash between the instance dungeon options in front of Wu Yan. After a while, it stopped on one of the instance dungeons. Then, the instance dungeon option lit up. Instance dungeon, Whirlwind Butler. Whirlwind Butler? Whirlwind Butler is good. Not only is the safety factor high, there are also some demons and ghosts to level up. For me, who is not even level 30, this is really suitable. Most importantly, Sir Chairman Wu Yan laughed foolishly. His appearance was indescribably silly. Beep. Instance dungeon, Whirlwind Butler, do you want to enter? Wu Yan was stunned. After reacting, he quickly shouted, enter. The moment Wu Yan shouted enter, there was no sound, no strange phenomenon. Wu Yan suddenly disappeared, leaving behind only an extinguished bonfire. Chapter 12. Without any warning, a person suddenly appeared on an ordinary and uninhabited street. He did not walk or fly over. Instead, he truly appeared. It was as though he had grown out of thin air. He wore a white short-sleeved shirt and black denim trousers. A katana without a guard was tied to his waist. He had black hair and black eyes. In his hand was a tree branch. On the branch was a piece of cold barbecued meat. Instance dungeon, Whirlwind Butler instance dungeon quest, clear. Quest 1, enter the White Emperor College and become a student of the White Emperor College's high school. Quest reward, equipment points, props points, ability points, summoning points 1000 each. Quest 2, yet to be activated. Quest 3, yet to be activated. Wu Yan opened his eyes in a daze. The first thing he heard was the instance dungeon quest issued by the system. Then, he looked around. The street was a very ordinary street. However, it gave Wu Yan a sense of security that he had not felt since his transmigration 3 months ago. Now that he was in an unfamiliar world, no matter how thick Wu Yan's nerves were, he was unable to relax. Most of his time was spent on leveling up and completing quests. How could Wu Yan dare to relax? If he was not careful, he would die in the forest and become the excrement of the demonic beasts. The familiar streets that he had not seen for a long time gave Wu Yan an indescribable sense of security. His tense body gradually relaxed and a warm smile appeared on his face. Of course, that is, if one did not look at the barbecued meat in his hand. Beep. User, after you have completed all the instance dungeon quests, you will be able to leave this instance dungeon. After you have completed the first instance dungeon quest, the second instance dungeon quest will be activated. After you have completed the second instance dungeon quest, the third instance dungeon quest will be activated. After you have completed the third instance dungeon quest, the user will be able to leave this instance dungeon. Reminder, the time ratio between the instance dungeon world and the real world is 100:1. Thus, the user can train in this instance dungeon with ease. We wish you a pleasant time in this instance dungeon, 100:1. In other words, even if I stay here for 1 year, only 3.5 days will have passed in the Spalier world? What a cheat for cultivation. But, I like it. Chuckling, Wu Yan looked at the barbecued meat in his hand and felt embarrassed. He quickly threw it away, clapped his hands, and walked out. The first thing he needs to do right now is to eat a good meal. In Silveria, he only ate fruits and barbecued meat. Although it's not like the supply town doesn't have good food, how can he find Chinese cuisine in a restaurant? Although there were some items in the system, it wasn't impossible to use precious item points to exchange for food. He would think about it later when he became rich. Although it wasn't expensive, a mosquito's leg was still meat, and in Butler Whirlwind's world, although the plot was set in Japan, no matter what, there should be 1 or 2 dishes of the same world. Well, although he didn't have money, Wu Yan had gold coins. Gold coins were used as currency in the Spalier world, but in this world, they were treated as gold. 1 gold coin was enough to eat 10 meals. At this time, Wu Yan was standing in front of a very spacious and gorgeous building. He held a map in his hand and looked at the door with an embarrassed expression. After eating a big meal of Japanese cuisine, Wu Yan asked for a map from the smiling shop owner who had accepted 1 gold coin. He didn't want to suffer the pain of not knowing the way again. It was also thanks to the system's language proficiency function. Otherwise, Wu Yan wouldn't even be able to order food. The gorgeous building in front of him was the White Emperor College. Although this world gave Wu Yan a sense of security, Wu Yan did not forget his quest. The first quest was to join the White Emperor College and become a student. Wu Yan didn't know why the system would give him such a quest. However, when it came to earning points, Wu Yan wouldn't be polite. As for why he was embarrassed, the reason was because the person in front of Wu Yan was standing in front of the White Emperor College's entrance. She was looking at him with a vigilant expression. She had light green shoulder-length hair and a small protruding mole on her forehead. It was unknown whether it was a mole or a sore. 1 glance was enough to tell that she was a restless person. This person had a vigilant expression on her face and was about to fight. She was glaring fiercely at Wu Yan. Guo Shualu, Guo Chuju's crazy older sister. That was all Wu Yan knew about her. In the original work, when the main character, Sao Ayasaki, came to deliver a bento to the big miss of the 3,000 nunnery, he was stopped by Guo Shualu. The reason was that if she didn't guard the entrance properly, her salary would be deducted. Because of such a ridiculous reason, this crazy older sister refused to let anyone who wasn't from the White Emperor College in. Once she saw an outsider, she would start a fight. What a trap. According to the system, Wu Yan would enter an instance dungeon with a storyline the day before the storyline began. In other words, the main character, Sao Ayasaki, was still delivering parcels. Unexpectedly, this older sister was already guarding the entrance. Although he didn't know when Sao Ayasaki would come to the White Emperor College, Wu Yan knew that he might be in a bit of trouble. This big sister who loved to drink, liked to cause trouble, and was a little neurotic would definitely not let him in easily. Even if he explained it clearly, he would definitely be beaten up by her and then be beeped again. Guo Shualu, level 15, okay, older sister, you're awesome. As an ordinary person with no strength, you can reach tier 2. Could it be that the wine you drink is an edible experience book? The corner of Wu Yan's mouth twitched as he looked at the crazy older sister who had been in the same posture for almost 20 minutes. The embarrassment on his face became deeper and deeper. Calm down. I have to calm down, Wu Yan kept reminding himself in his heart. He put away the map in his hand. Even if there was no hope, he could still try to communicate with her. That, wah. Are you finally going to attack? Watch me. Before Wu Yan could finish speaking, Guo Shualu shouted and rushed over. She threw a punch at Wu Yan's face. Wu Yan looked at Guo Shualu in shock. When he felt the wind from the punch, he quickly turned his head and dodged the punch. You have some skills. Watch this move. Facing the continuous attacks, Wu Yan quickly dodged. As he dodged, tears flowed down his face. Although he knew this older sister was unreasonable, Wu Yan did not expect her to be so difficult to communicate with. As expected, is it because of the dimension? 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, no. It's not like that. How can a cute girl from 2D have a generation gap with me? It must be because she's not a cute girl, that's why it's like this. That's right. Thinking like that, Wu Yan's face still had a sullen expression. I'm only here to enter the school, not to fight, and definitely not to be beaten. I can't fight back either. If I don't fight back, I'll definitely be beaten to a pulp. But I can't fight back either. What should I do? Don't come again. If you do, I won't be polite anymore. This was Wu Yan, who was still thinking about not fighting back. Ha ha ha. Won't be polite? Show me if you're not polite. Wu Yan suspected that this older sister was not fighting for her salary. She was just doing it for fun or to pass the time. Seeing Guo Shuelu in a state where no one could get close to her, Wu Yan's heart was filled with evil. Wu! 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 Wu Yan clapped his hands and turned around. He walked into White Emperor College. Guo Shuelu was tied up into a ball by the rope Wu Yan had exchanged for 10 item points. Her mouth was stuffed with a map, and she was on the ground, struggling. Walking on by King's path, Wu Yan was speechless. Although he knew from watching the anime that Bai King was very big, and if he wanted to go around Bai King, he had to take the tram. Seeing it in person, he could not stay calm. After entering Bai King, Wu Yan kept going to the tallest clock tower. After walking for 10 minutes, the clock tower was still not close. It made Wu Yan feel depressed. After a long time, he finally reached the clock tower. Wu Yan looked around strangely. As a school, it was very quiet. It was hard to imagine that there was a class today. Shaking his head, Wu Yan strode into the clock tower. Hey, you over there. Don't you know that people outside the student union cannot enter the clock tower? Wu Yan, who was about to enter the clock tower, stopped. He turned around. Seeing who it was, Wu Yan's heart jumped. He could not help but scream. Mr. Leader. Pink hair, yellow-green eyes, and a beautiful face. She was wearing the White Emperor College uniform. Her hands were on her hips, and she looked at Wu Yan expressionlessly. That was our Mr. Leader, Guo Chuju. Guo Hinaga flinched when she heard him. Her expression turned a bit weird as she sized him up with a puzzled look. I don't think I've seen this guy in casual clothes with a samurai sword around his waist before. I just saw him planning to enter the clock tower, so I called out to stop him. Who is he? And why is he calling me Mr. Leader? Although she did not know what was going on, Guo Chuju still nodded at him. No need. The two of them looked at each other with weird expressions. Wu Yan was speechless, and Guo Chuju was a little embarrassed. After all, the conversation just now sounded like a noble lady talking to a servant. Seeing Guo Chuju's embarrassed expression, Wu Yan found it funny. The excitement of meeting the legendary Mr. Leader for the first time slowly calmed down. Wu Yan started to look at Guo Chuju seriously. One has to say, as expected of Steward Whirlwind's #1 beauty. Compared to the Guo Hinajaku on the screen, the Guo Hinajaku standing in front of Wu Yan in real life is even prettier. The unique charm of a 2D beauty has been fully displayed by Kaishu-sama. Even if an outsider were to come here, they wouldn't think that a real 2D beauty would look out of place. It's just that her chest is a little tragic. She's a 16 or 17-year-old girl. But it's okay. Flat breasts are also a rare resource. It's a cute point. It seems like the Mr. Leader has acrophobia. Well, this is also a cute point. Mr. Leader, I'm here to apply for admission. May I ask what kind of procedures do I need to go through? If he did not speak, the atmosphere would be so awkward that it could be twisted out of water. Since he had already met the beautiful Mr. Leader, he would have plenty of time to interact with her. Guo Chuju smiled embarrassedly. Then, she quickly straightened her face. Do you want to enter the White Emperor College? Although she did not know why he called her Mr. Leader and how he knew she was the student council president, Guo Chuju still answered Wu Yan's question out of politeness. It's not an ordinary difficulty to apply for admission. Wu Yan's face stiffened. At this moment, he remembered that if he wanted to apply for admission to the White Emperor College, he would have to score 65 points on the written test, although he did not know what 65 points meant to him. If he remembered correctly, in this world, 65 points would allow him to enter a first-rate university. 72 points would allow him to enter Tokyo University, let alone the fact that he had not read any books in this world. Even if he had, Wu Yan did not think that he, who could only enter a third-rate university back then, would be able to pass an international written test now. Fortunately, he was no longer the same person as before. Although his intelligence did not increase, Wu Yan still had a heaven-defying system. As long as he could exchange it for some abilities, passing a written test would not be a problem. Chapter 13. When Wu Yan found what he was looking for, he let out a sigh of relief. No wonder the mission reward was only 1,000 points. This mission wasn't that difficult to begin with. Wu Yan smiled and said to Gue Chuju, "Yes, I want to enter the school. Although the White Emperor College's entrance exam is difficult, I should be able to do it." Gue Hinajiku furrowed her pretty eyebrows and told him in a serious tone. "Don't underestimate Hakwang Academy's entrance exam. If you want to enter, you have to score 65 points to pass. Only by passing can you enter Hakwang Academy. Are you sure you want to enter even with that?" "Yes, I am sure." Not only was he sure, but he was certain. If he relied on himself, he might not even score 10 points. However, he had the system. Seeing that Wu Yan didn't seem to care, Gue Chuju was puzzled. Was this guy really that powerful? He didn't look like an intellectual. He even carried a sword. He looked more like a delinquent. "Since you have decided, I will take you to the teachers and let them help you prepare for the written entrance exam." Although she looked very dignified, she was actually a kind-hearted little girl. She would spare no effort to help the people she just met. "Wait." Wu Yan stopped Gue Chuju. "I think I will have to wait for a while before I can take the entrance exam." "Huh?" Gue Chuju looked at Wu Yan in puzzlement. Since he had something to do, why didn't he come back after he was done? "It's okay. If you have something to do, you can go do it. The entrance exam can be held at any time. Since there are very few people, there might not even be a single person applying for admission for an entire year. So, you have plenty of time." "Well, it won't take long. About an hour or so will be enough. However, there is something I need your help with." Wu Yan touched his nose. He could already imagine the strange look in Gue Chuju's eyes when he made his request. Gue Chuju chuckled and said to Wu Yan, "Is there anything I can help you with?" "No matter what, I'm still the president of this school's student council." Yes, I already know that you're the president. Furthermore, I already knew when you were born. There's no need to specially remind me." Complaining in his heart, Wu Yan said awkwardly, Can you please lend me your book?" Gue Chuju was stunned. Unexpectedly, she didn't look surprised. Instead, she looked at Wu Yan with a smile and said to him, "Actually, if you don't have confidence, you can go home and study for a few more days. You don't have to be so nervous." "Alright, so it turns out that Sir President thinks that I have to make a last-minute effort. No need. Just lend it to me for an hour. Besides, even if I go back, I don't have any books to review." Wu Yan could only helplessly explain. "No books." Gue Chuju looked at Wu Yan in shock. It was as if she was looking at a prehistoric giant beast. Wu Yan already expected her to have such an expression, so he automatically ignored it. Seeing that Wu Yan didn't seem to be joking, Gue Chuju was shocked. "You don't have any books? That means you haven't read any books? If you haven't read any books, why are you taking the exam?" "Well, because of various reasons. So, are you looking down on the White Emperor College's entrance exam?" This time, Gue Chuju was dissatisfied. The White Emperor College was a famous aristocratic school. The entrance exam was quite high. It could be seen from the high threshold of 65 points. And now, a person who hadn't read any books was arrogant enough to say that he only needed an hour to read books to pass the entrance exam. This wasn't child's play. He was looking down on the White Emperor College. As the president of the student council of the White Emperor College, it was already good that she was only slightly dissatisfied when she saw someone looking down on the White Emperor College. Seeing that Gue Chuju seemed to be really angry, Wu Yan felt a little scared. When Gue Chuju was angry, she wasn't someone that an ordinary person could resist. However, he had no choice. If he didn't do this, he wouldn't be able to start. He wouldn't even be able to think about entering the college. You misunderstood. I didn't mean to look down on the White Emperor College. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to the college. I have enough confidence, so I said that. Wu Yan could only explain it this way. Enough confidence? In other words, you, who have never read books, only need to read for an hour to pass. Gue Chuju wanted to laugh, but it wasn't good. So, she curled her lips and squinted her eyes at Wu Yan. Is she looking down on me? She is definitely looking down on me. Yes. Although Wu Yan wanted to complain, he would be the one who would be hurt, so he could only nod helplessly. Humph. Gue Chuju snorted and said to Wu Yan, "Are you kidding?" Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Well, I thought that entering the college was easy, but I was a fool. System, there is such a roadblock. Shouldn't you reward me with more points? After pondering for a while, Wu Yan rolled his eyes and said to Gue Chuju with a smile, "It seems that you don't believe that I can enter the college." Hearing Gue Chuju's answer without hesitation, Wu Yan's face twitched slightly. Yes. After coughing twice, Wu Yan raised his finger. Then, do you want to make a bet? Bet? Gue Chuju was stunned and looked at Wu Yan with doubt. What bet? Let's bet that I can pass the entrance exam in an hour. How about it? Gue Chuju frowned and looked at Wu Yan, who seemed to be really confident. She hesitated in her heart. Is he really a genius? Can he pass the exam by reading for an hour? Have you really never read before? Gue Chuju said with uncertainty. It's absolutely true. Wu Yan has never read a book before, even during the high school and college entrance exams. He only read for a month or two. Since he doesn't read a lot of books, it's impossible for him to read a Japanese book. If he didn't have the system, he wouldn't even know what's written in the book. He doesn't know Japanese, he can understand a sentence or two, for example, yamate and so on. Looking at Gue Chuju, who was still thinking, Wu Yan couldn't help but mock Wu Yan. What? Are you afraid? Who is afraid? Fine, let's bet. Fine, once Kaishu-sama's unyielding temper rises, even a bull can't pull her back. With regards to Gue Hinajuku's surname, how could Wu Yan, who is familiar with the 2D world, not grasp it? Tell me, what do you want to bet? Looking at Gue Chuju's determined look, Wu Yan laughed in his heart. On the surface, fine, he is also laughing. I don't know either. How about this? The loser will listen to one of the conditions of the loser. How about it? Wu Yan's shameless thoughts are finally exposed. However, he must think that he is actually very pure. Okay. It's a deal. Just like that, the president jumped into the pit that she can't jump out of in her lifetime without hesitation. In the student council office, Gue Hinajuku's office is currently occupied by an uninvited guest. Wu Yan is sitting on Gue Hinajuku's seat as the student council president in a dignified manner. Gue Hinajuku is displeased, but she can't say anything about it. After all, she was the one who brought him here, and she was the one who told him to sit anywhere he wants. Here, these are all the books. After placing the last book in front of Wu Yan, Gue Chuju put her hands on her hips and said to Wu Yan. She has decided that for the next hour, she will keep an eye on him to prevent him from going back on his word. Looking at the books that aren't as thick as Tsihai but aren't too far off from it, Wu Yan's eyebrows jumped. No wonder Seo Ayasaki wants to study so hard in the original work. This White Emperor College is not something that ordinary people can study in. It is much more abnormal than the education system in China. If it is not for the system, Wu Yan might not be able to get out of this dungeon in his lifetime. Gue Chuju, level 18. After inquiring about the president's information, Wu Yan could not help but sigh. They are really two sisters. Both are ordinary people. One is level 15, and the other is level 18. Both are rank 2. If they were placed in the Spalier world, they would definitely be treated as rare beasts and fought over. Wu Yan can guess how strong Kaishu-sama is. After all, in the original work, Gue Hinajuku is an existence that can slay demons by herself with a single sword. Wu Yan is impressed by her strength, but he isn't surprised by it. He opened the system list. Although he opened the system list in front of Gue Chuju, other than Wu Yan, no one can see the system list. Moreover, even if he does not use his hand to open it, he can use his mind to open the system list. Therefore, Wu Yan can be considered to be openly cheating. After opening the ability and skills and flipping through the system list, Wu Yan's eyes stopped on one of the abilities. Complete memory, the ability to remember everything you see in an instant. 10,000 ability points. After clicking on the exchange, Wu Yan felt that his head seemed to be a lot lighter. Many things that he had forgotten before were flipped through like photos. Then, Wu Yan remembered them deeply in his mind. The memory became very clear. Wu Yan recalled all the memories, and his expression was slightly strange. After recalling many of his childhood memories, Wu Yan realized that when he was young, there were really quite a lot of embarrassing things. Why aren't you looking? Are you going to admit defeat? Seeing Wu Yan's strange expression and not seeing him looking at the book, Gue Chiju could not help but ask. Well, I'll start now. After obtaining the complete memory ability, Wu Yan did not take this exam seriously. Casually flipping through a book, Wu Yan read 10 lines at a time. He remembered everything he saw in his mind. In the blink of an eye, he finished reading the book. Hey, you can't read like this, right? Can you really remember the contents of the book like this? In less than 5 minutes, Wu Yan finished reading such a thick book. If someone said that Wu Yan could remember the contents, Gue Chiju would not believe it even if she died. Unfortunately, young girl, you are not people of the same dimension, so, you are really shallow, you just wait and see. Wu Yan smiled and looked at Gue Chiju. Then, he lowered his head and looked at the book. Why didn't I realize before that studying was actually so easy? A certain someone relied on the ability that he exchanged for with ability points, but in his heart, he was thinking of shamelessly boasting. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Gue Chiju coldly snorted and turned her head away. In the student council office, there was suddenly only the sound of Wu Yan quickly flipping through the book. After a while, Gue Chiju suddenly said. Oh right, I still don't know your name. His hand stopped moving. Wu Yan's heart was full of tears because he forgot to introduce himself. My name is Wu Yan. Wu Yan? What a strange name. Is this a surname or a first name? Katsura Hinajaku tapped her cheeks and said. That includes everything. My name is Wu Yan. If you want to talk about surnames, it's probably Wu. Awkwardly scratching his head, Wu Yan could only say whatever he wanted. Your surname is Wu Yan? That's really strange. A one-word surname. China's people are pretty much the same. One-word surname, only some have 2 words. You are China's people? Gue Chiju looked at Wu Yan in surprise. She really did not expect to meet a foreigner. So, she curiously said. I am China's people. Chapter 14. Hey, Yan Kun. Hearing how Gue Hinajaku addressed him, Wu Yan's chi got stuck in his throat, unable to move up or down, he almost choked to death. Although his eyes were still on the book, Wu Yan's movement of turning the book slowed down. Wu Yan said to Gue Chiju in a bad mood, you can just call me Wu Yan, or Yan, but don't add the word Jun. We Chinese people are like this, so it sounds awkward. Oh. Well, it seems so. I also heard that people in China call each other by their names. Then I'll just call you Yan, and you can just call me Chiju. Gue Chiju said to Wu Yan with a smile. At first, she was angry with Wu Yan, but now she had put it all down. After a while, Gue Chiju only felt that the person in front of her was actually very easy to get along with. Wu Yan nodded nonchalantly. The two of them didn't realize that in Japan, calling each other by their names is something only people who are very familiar with each other would do. For example, a good friend who grew up together, a childhood sweetheart, or a couple and so on. But here, there were 2 people who had known each other for less than an hour and called each other by their names directly. After all, both of them were indifferent to the way they called each other. Wu Yan didn't care. After all, in his country, people called each other by their names directly, even if they were enemies. Chuju was careless and didn't realize this. This could be seen from the original work, when she called Seo Ayasaki, who they met for the first time, Sakuen. Time passed quietly between the two of them. It wasn't until an hour later that Wu Yan finally finished reading the last book in time. Recalling the content that he remembered, Wu Yan nodded with satisfaction. He closed the book in his hand and stretched. Chuju couldn't help but be stunned when she saw this. You finished reading? Yes, I'm done. And even if I didn't finish it, I don't plan to. An hour has already passed. Chuju was stunned again. She looked at the clock on the wall and saw that an hour had passed. Chuju smiled embarrassedly. She had completely forgotten the time, but in the blink of an eye, she was puzzled again. You really finished reading all the books? All of them. Although she forgot the time, Chuju didn't forget the conversation with Wu Yan. She clearly used this hour to chat, and Wu Yan also chatted with her while reading. She didn't realize it at first, but now, Chuju only felt that it was incredible. Would you believe that a person could memorize the contents of more than 10 books that were 2 to 3 centimeters thick while chatting with others while reading at the same time? Wu Yan didn't know about other people, but Wu Yan knew that Gue Chuju wouldn't believe him. I memorized all of them. Wu Yan looked at Gue Chuju with a funny face. Although he was indeed chatting while reading at the same time, if it was before, forget it, let's not talk about the past. Now that he has the complete memory ability, Wu Yan can completely remember the contents of the book with just a glance, so Wu Yan has no pressure. Don't lie, if you can't pass the exam later, you will lose to me, although I didn't think of asking you to do anything. For her chatting with Wu Yan to distract him from reading, Chuju felt a little embarrassed. She didn't notice it just now. If Wu Yan used this as an excuse, she would accept it. But Wu Yan said that he completed the task, which made Chuju suspicious. I know you don't believe it, the book is here, you can ask the questions and you will know. Patting his chest, Wu Yan said with a face full of confidence. Curling her lips, Chuju picked up a book, flipped through a few pages, and asked a few questions. Then, she pretended to be disdainful, but she was a little shocked. For 5 minutes, Chuju kept asking questions in disguise, but they were all answered by Wu Yan. Gradually, Chuju's face began to become numb. Putting down the book, Chuju lowered her head in frustration. I lost, you haven't taken the exam yet, right? Why did you admit defeat? Wu Yan said with a little bit of schadenfreude, not only because teasing a two-dimensional girl is very refreshing, but also because of the condition that Chuju lost to him. Turning her head with a little temper, Chuju said unwillingly, you remembered all of it, can't you guess whether I passed the exam or not? Oh. Now you believe I can pass the exam? I believe it, who knows you are a genius, no, a pervert, to remember so much content in an hour, I really don't know what your brain is made of. Wu Yan said with a wry smile, what genius pervert, I just have a good memory, is that a genius? Good memory? That's not just a little good, it's super good, it's explosive, you can almost break the world memory record, isn't that perverted? Chuju rolled her eyes at Wu Yan, almost electrocuting Wu Yan. The charm of the president, there is no way to ignore it, at that moment, Wu Yan could only spread his hands. Forget it, if you agree to bet, you must accept defeat, tell me, what do you want me to do? Chuju stared at Wu Yan, making Wu Yan feel a lot of pressure. Although he wanted to ask the president to do this and that, Wu Yan was sure that if he dared to mention such a condition, the president would dare to cut him to death. Therefore, Wu Yan could only bitterly smile and say, well, I don't know, I haven't thought about it, I will tell you when I think about it. Chuju silently tilted her head, waved her hand and said, then, I owe you a condition, when you think about it, come to me. Yes, yes, yes. Shrugging his shoulders, Wu Yan agreed. Then, I will take you to the teacher, let you take the entrance exam, with your strength, there should be no problem. Wu Yan nodded his head in anticipation. Even though he's already tired of school life, he's not going to do it this time. It's not just because of the mission, it's also because of the legendary Hakuo Academy. In the anime and manga world, the life one can enjoy in this aristocratic academy must be extraordinary. Wu Yan began to burn. Seeing Wu Yan's expectant look, Chuju nodded with satisfaction, took him outside, and said with a smile, "Then let's go. I will take you to the teacher. I will introduce her to you. She is my sister." Wu Yan's face stiffened. "Oh no. I forgot about her. What's wrong?" Wu Yan looked a little strange, so Chuju was puzzled. Helplessly rolling his eyes, Wu Yan said awkwardly, "If the teacher you are talking about is the big sister guarding the door, I think I have already seen her. There is no need to introduce her." Chuju suddenly remembered, and said with a look of realization, "Yes, today is the big sister guarding the door. She should be at the door." Perhaps seeing the strange look in Wu Yan's eyes, Chuju couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Twitching the corner of his mouth, Wu Yan looked at Hinajiku and put on a fake smile. How do I put this? It's because your sister's personality is a bit weird, right? When I came here, she started picking on me without saying a word. She didn't even listen to my explanation and even chased me around, so. Chuju had a bad feeling at this time. "What's wrong?" Sighing, Wu Yan said, "I tied her up and threw her there." Chuju looked up and touched her forehead. She looked like she couldn't bear it. "Ah, big sister is still the same." After a few dry laughs, Wu Yan could only smile without saying anything. Zzzzz. In front of the White Emperor College's gate, Wu Yan and Chuju stood in a corner, looking at the ground, the corners of their mouths twitching. Wu Yan's face was calm, but Chuju's forehead showed a few jing words, and her veins were bulging. It was obvious that she was on the verge of exploding. On the ground, Chuju's big sister, Gue Shuelu, was lying there in a tied-up position, with a map stuffed in her mouth, just like when Wu Yan left. However, at this time, her eyes were tightly closed, and a bubble on her nose was rising and falling with her breathing. Although her eyes were closed and her mouth was stuffed, from the expression on her face, it was clear that she was smiling. This girl fell asleep, and was having a beautiful dream. The jing words on Chuju's forehead became more and more, and her veins were squirming. She took a deep breath and clenched her fists tightly. Seeing this, Wu Yan quickly stepped back and stood at the edge, and covered his ears to avoid being implicated. "Oh, pinch sauce!" Bang! A loud roar rang out, followed by a loud explosion and a suppressed scream. The continuous sounds rang out at the entrance of the White Emperor Academy, scaring away countless people who had planned to come and watch. Wu Yan looked at the horrible scene in front of him and crossed himself in his heart. "May the Lord bless you, crazy big sister. Why did you cross yourself in your heart and not with your hands?" "Nonsense, you even have to use your hands to cover your ears." After a period of chaos, everything finally calmed down. "Big sister. When can you be a little more serious and change your personality?" Hinajiku said to Gue Shuelu, who had a head full of bumps, with a look of exasperation on her face. "But, someone tied me up. I tried my best to ask for help, but no one came to save me. I was too bored, so I could only sleep." Gue Shuelu said with an aggrieved face. If she ignored the bumps on her head, perhaps someone would pity her. Chuju couldn't help but get angry when she heard this. She suppressed the urge to beat her up again and said in a low voice, "Who told you to expel people without asking for their reason? How can you be a security guard?" "But, if someone broke in, my salary would be deducted." Gue Shuelu weakly protested to Chuju. Chuju couldn't get angry anymore. It wasn't that she was persuaded by Gue Shuelu, but that she didn't have the strength to be angry anymore. Letting out a sigh, Hinajiku helplessly said, "Sister, he's only here to apply for admission. He wants to study at our school. What's more, our Baihuang Academy is heavily guarded. How could it be invaded? Other than some people who came for the students, who else could break into our school?" "Who knows?" Gue Shuelu refuted. "What if he used the excuse of applying to get into our school? What should I do? At that time, my salary will still be deducted." "But you can't just beat him up without saying anything." Chuju yelled at Gue Shuelu angrily. "I don't care. As long as there's someone who can stop me from getting my salary, I will get rid of him. Hinagiku was fuming with rage. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and roared, "Enough is enough." Gue Shualu's body trembled, and his eyes began to spin. Chuju took a deep breath and said angrily, "Now, he's here to apply for admission. You should prepare for the entrance exam immediately." Gue Shualu nodded blankly. Her body was still shaking, which made Wu Yan wonder if she had heard Chuju's words. Chuju calmed her anger and turned around. She walked toward Wu Yan with her sister. Gue Shualu could only follow Chuju with an aggrieved expression. Looking at the scene in front of him, Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's been hard on you, Chuju. It's normal for you to feel pressured with such a sister. Chapter 15. The White Emperor College was indeed worthy of being a famous aristocratic college in this world. Even if it wasn't for its ridiculously large area and the buildings that looked more like villas than school buildings, it wasn't an ordinary high-class college. Not to mention other things, just the extremely high entrance threshold was enough to deter the majority of students who came because of its reputation. This point could be seen from the White Emperor Academy's entrance exam. Even Wu Yan, who had memorized all the contents of the book, didn't dare to say that he could get an excellent grade or higher. Other people wouldn't dare to imagine it. Wu Yan didn't know if it was because he offended that crazy older sister that he got such a difficult exam, but it was indeed very difficult. Even so, Wu Yan was still full of confidence to get a passing grade. Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He used to treat exam papers like a ferocious beast, but he would never return. With the ability of complete memory, exam papers and whatnot were just floating clouds. Next, he just had to obediently wait for the White Emperor College's admission notice to be sent. But now, another difficulty was placed in front of Wu Yan. The reason was Gue Shualu's words. "Leave your address. When the time comes, someone will send the admission notice to you." Yes, this was a very normal thing. Leaving an address was a very normal thing. After all, the White Emperor College couldn't send someone to check your exam papers just for you. Also, it would take about 2 to 3 days to prepare the admission notice. Could you wait in school for these 2 to 3 days? Leaving an address was just a formality. The problem was that Wu Yan didn't have an address. He had been in this world for less than a day. Where would he find a place to live? Just write down an address? It wasn't that he couldn't, but Wu Yan didn't know when the admission notice would be sent. He couldn't stay in one place forever and wait for the admission notice. Thus, Wu Yan fell into a state of distress that is neither too big nor too small. It was just an address. Was there a need to worry about it? What's wrong? Is there a problem again? Chuju was already used to Wu Yan's problems from time to time. Wu Yan looked at the beautiful Kaishu-sama. He rolled his eyes and an idea flashed through his mind. He knelt down on one knee in front of Hinagiku, startling Kaishu-sama, who isn't afraid of anything but heights and small breasts. Before Hinagiku could react, Wu Yan saluted and said in a serious tone, "Do you need a butler?" "Huh?" Chuju couldn't keep up with Wu Yan's thoughts at all. "What is this?" "Well, Chuju, just let me be your housekeeper." Sure enough, it was impossible for Wu Yan to be serious. In less than a second, he returned to his sloppy appearance. Spreading out his hands, Wu Yan said with a smile, "Be my housekeeper?" Chuju pointed at her nose with a face of surprise. Although she was in the White Emperor College, which was an aristocratic college filled with rich families, Chuju was just a child from a slightly wealthy family. She had nothing to do with being a housekeeper. Moreover, our president was famous for her ability. Otherwise, she wouldn't have become the president of the White Emperor College's student council. She never thought of hiring a housekeeper. Out of nowhere, there's an extra person who wants to be a butler like her who doesn't need a butler. This made Hinagiku suspect that Wu Yan might have other intentions. "Yes. Be your housekeeper." Wu Yan said seriously, "How can the president of the student council of the aristocratic White Emperor College not have her own housekeeper?" So I want to be your housekeeper. But I don't need a housekeeper. Moreover, I can't afford one. Don't look at me like this. In fact, my family can't be compared with those super-rich families. I'm not a missy. Chuju said to Wu Yan with a headache. To be honest, for Wu Yan's sudden action, Chuju couldn't keep up with it until now. They were still talking about the matter of entering the college. It's okay. I don't need a salary, so you can rest assured. No, after you said that, I can't rest assured, Chuju wanted to complain. A free worker, and it was voluntary. No one would believe it if she said she didn't have any ulterior motives. How can this be? You don't need a salary. Chuju said to Wu Yan with a little vigilance. She looked like she was guarding against a wolf. That's not important, what's important is. Lifting his head, he looked at Hinajuku. His originally serious face was instantly filled with tears. He looked like an abandoned child, a pitiful face that no one wants. I don't have anywhere to go. Looking at Wu Yan, who changed his face faster than a magic trick, and the thunderous words that came out of his mouth, Chuju's mouth kept twitching. You mean you don't have a place to live, so you want to be my housekeeper and live in my house? Finally, Chuju figured out the cause and effect of a series of events. However, after figuring it out, Chuju felt a little bitter and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yes, you also know that I'm from China. I just came here and am unfamiliar with this place. Of course, I don't have a place to live. So Chuju, please kindly take me in. Chuju didn't know if there was a second person who could say that he was living off a woman so righteously, but it was indeed the first time Chuju saw such a person. She couldn't complain. Of course, Wu Yan doesn't think he's living off a woman. Living off a woman is a woman who supports and protects a man. That's called living off a woman. But I'm different. I'm doing this to protect Kaishu-sama. I'm a butler with a purpose. I'm pure, because he didn't have a place to go. He wanted to be a free housekeeper as long as he was provided with food and drink. Not bad, a good reason. At least, the kind president couldn't think of a reason to refuse. With a sigh, Chuju could only helplessly say, well, my house still has a spare place. I'll let you live there. But as for being a housekeeper, there's no need. How can that be? Wu Yan stood up and said righteously, then wouldn't I be living off a woman? In fact, even if you become a housekeeper, you'll still be suspected of living off a woman. Okay, I know. It's up to you. Chuju couldn't do anything to Wu Yan, who was offline, but in fact, she didn't hate him in her heart. After all, this kind of Wu Yan was very easy to get along with, wasn't it? Although it would be a bit of a headache, ding. Congratulations to the user for obtaining the title, President's Housekeeper. Wu Yan's brain automatically filled in the system notification and secretly laughed in his heart. Being President's housekeeper. Getting along with each other day and night. The pavilion closest to the water is like the moon under the moon. Starting the strategy, well, Wu Yan's real purpose was exposed. Then, Big Miss, would you like to treat me to tea? Don't call me Big Miss. How can that be? I'm your housekeeper. But I'm not used to it. Oh right, what do you want to eat tonight? Big Miss. I already said don't call me Big Miss. The two of them played as they slowly walked away, completely forgetting about the other person present at the scene. That little rascal became Chuju's housekeeper. This was a crazy big sister who watched the show from the beginning to the end, but only now reacted. Smoothly, Wu Yan moved into Kaishu-sama's house. He even met his mother-in-law. A warm welcome. Not only that, Chuju's mother kept asking Wu Yan what to eat, how to sleep comfortably, whether he needed to buy clothes, a series of questions. A face of Wu Yan's face was full of embarrassment. Wu Yan really wanted to ask, are you my housekeeper or am I Chuju's housekeeper? Crazy big sister's nerves are so thick, so it was you who brought her out. Originally, Wu Yan thought that as the mother of a beautiful girl with such an outstanding daughter, she would be seriously guarded against the boy brought home by her daughter. At least, that's how it's portrayed in cliched TV dramas. In the original work, although Sao Ayasaki also lived in Chuju's house and received the same treatment as Wu Yan, it was because Sao Ayasaki looked too much like a girl, which greatly triggered the motherly love of Chuju's mother. He was used as the perfect human model by Chuju's mother to try on Chuju's clothes. Because of this, even though Wu Yan knew that Chuju's mother was very thick-skinned, Wu Yan thought that he would definitely be treated differently if it were him. However, completely unexpected, Chuju's mother still treated him the same way as Sao Ayasaki in the original work. Although he wasn't used as a human model, she didn't seem to be worried that Chuju would be abducted. Looking at her appearance, it was as if she couldn't wait for someone to abduct Chuju. Wu Yan knew that Chuju's mother was just the adoptive mother of Chuju and Gue Shualu. Chuju's real biological parents abandoned Chuju and her sister because of an 80 million debt when Chuju was young. However, this didn't mean that Chuju's adoptive parents would reject her. On the contrary, from the dialogue between Chuju and Chuju's mother, Wu Yan could see that their relationship was actually very good. However, after thinking about it, Wu Yan understood. In fact, Chuju's mother loved Chuju very much. Although she was only an adoptive mother, she treated Chuju as her biological daughter. The reason for this behavior, in addition to her personality, was that Chuju was really strong and smart. She didn't need to worry about her at all. Having such a daughter, as long as she was a normal parent, she would be particularly proud. Moreover, she successfully got a housekeeper. After all, Chuju wasn't a real young lady. To be able to be treated like a young lady, in the eyes of Chuju's mother, it should be a surprise. Therefore, it was conceivable that the insensitive Chuju's mother would treat Wu Yan better because of this. Well, although in the beginning, when Wu Yan said that he was Chuju's housekeeper shyly, Chuju's mother's face was strange, Wu Yan was a little suspicious. Could this Chuju's mother actually be the biological mother of the crazy older sister, so she adopted Chuju? After all, the two of them were equally insensitive, and the younger one was better than the older one. On the contrary, she was completely different from Chuju. Because of work, Wu Yan hadn't seen Chuju's father at home for the time being, but it seemed that in the original, Chuju's father was also like this, insensitive. Thus, Wu Yan automatically came up with the idea that due to some cliched incident, the two of them entrusted their daughter, Crazy Oniai-chan, to Hinajuku's parents. Thus, Crazy Oniai-chan and Hinajuku became sisters until Hinajuku's parents ran away with their debts and abandoned the two of them. That's why they brought Hinajuku and Crazy Oniai-chan back. Due to some cliched incident, they didn't admit that they are Crazy Oniai-chan's biological parents. The truth was, in fact, Chuju and the crazy older sister were not biological sisters. Chuju was the one who was adopted. As for whether this imagined truth was true or not, Wu Yan didn't know. But Wu Yan knew that when he told Chuju his analysis, although Chuju kept laughing, she actually wanted to beat him up. Chapter 16. Living with Kaishu-sama every day, Wu Yan's life is very fulfilling. Even though it's just helping Kaishu-sama with her cooking and serving her tea, he's very happy to have such a beautiful 2D girl walking around in front of him every day. Our Kaishu-sama's initial plan is to give Wu Yan the title of housekeeper. After all, she doesn't need a housekeeper and she didn't want one either. If it wasn't for Wu Yan's request, she might have removed him from the title of housekeeper. Kaishu-sama just wants to help the homeless Wu Yan. However, in the past 2 or 3 days, under Wu Yan's service, Chuju gradually couldn't leave Wu Yan. The reason was that in the past 2 or 3 days, Wu Yan had conquered Chuju. Of course, he only conquered her stomach. With the cooking expert ability, Wu Yan's culinary skills were at the level of a world-class master. Whether it was making tea, cooking, or making pastries, Wu Yan was proficient in everything. In just 2 or 3 days, he conquered Chuju's stomach. She didn't care about plain tea and plain food. In order to conquer a person's heart, he had to conquer their stomach first. Wu Yan changed his style of cooking and desserts for Chuju every day. Not only did he successfully conquer the president's stomach, but he also made Chuju's mother a little fatter. Now that he had conquered her stomach, how far could he go? Wu Yan fantasized about it every day. In this way, 3 days passed in the midst of Wu Yan and Chuju's sometimes warm and sometimes playful interactions. On this day, Chuju sent Wu Yan a piece of good news. Chuju smiled and handed a document to Wu Yan. She said, "Congratulations, Yan. From tomorrow onwards, you will be a student of the White Emperor College. It's finally here." Ding! Mission 1 completed. Obtained 1,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, and summoning points. Ding! The second mission has begun. Dungeon World, Whirlwind Butler. Instance Dungeon Quest, clear. Mission 1, enter the White Emperor College and become a senior student of the White Emperor College. Completed, quest reward, 1,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points. Mission 2, kill the ghost leader in the old school building of the White Emperor College. Quest reward, 10,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points. Third mission, not activated. When he received the document, Wu Yan heard a series of sounds in his mind. Wu Yan tried hard to pretend to be surprised, but his consciousness was immersed in the contents. Ghost leader? What the hell was that? Was there such a thing in the old building of the White Emperor College? Why wasn't it mentioned in the original work? There were so many people in the White Emperor College. Could it be that no one noticed that there was a ghost in the old building? Suddenly, Wu Yan remembered that there was a scene related to this in the original work. One night, Sao Ayasaki went into the old building to help the 3,000 nunnery retrieve something from the school. Then, he was chased by a ghost with Chuju. However, this so-called ghost was actually a fake ghost controlled by Utsunomiya Izumi, the genius exorcist of the House of Heron. He wanted to scare away Sao Ayasaki and Chuju. Although he was seen through by Sao Ayasaki in the end, Sao Ayasaki didn't expose Utsunomiya Izumi. Instead, he ran away with Chuju. The reason why Utsunomiya Izumi wanted to scare away Sao Ayasaki and Chuju was to prevent the upcoming exorcism ceremony from hurting Sao Ayasaki and Chuju. Could it be that the spirit that Utsunomiya Izumi exorcised in the old school building in the original work was this so-called ghost leader? Sigh, why wasn't it a pickup mission? The other protagonists were clearly like this. What's wrong? Yen, aren't you happy? No one knew what Wu Yan was thinking, but in Chuju's eyes, Wu Yan was smiling happily after receiving the document. Then, he was in a daze. Was it because he was too happy? Was that why he was moody? Wu Yan came back to his senses and quickly smiled. No, I'm very happy. I'm just thinking about something. What are you thinking so deeply about? Hinajuku asked curiously. Wu Yan pretended to think for a while, then smiled and said, I'm thinking, in order to prevent you from getting fat, should I reduce your portion of food? No. Chuju shouted reflexively. Then, she saw Wu Yan looking at her with a smile. She blushed and said to Wu Yan angrily, I'm the type that won't get fat, so you don't have to worry about me. Also, didn't I tell you before? You're not allowed to call me Miss. Seriously, you said you were going to call me Chuju during the student union meeting. Wu Yan opened the document in his hand and took out a card. It was the student ID of the White Emperor College. Wu Yan weighed the ID in his hand and said with a smile, Okay, then I'll call you Miss Chuju, it's done. Looking at Hinajuku, who was about to break into a satisfied smile after hearing his words, Wu Yan snickered and shouted before taking to his heels. Chuju was stunned and then became angry. She raised the bag in her hand and chased after Wu Yan. Stop right there. Chuju's mother sat on the sofa in the living room and watched the TV. She listened to the noise that came from the TV 2 or 3 times a day. She sighed and said with emotion, It's good to be young. The next day, Wu Yan and Chuju came to the White Emperor College together. They used some unknown means and successfully got into the same class as Chuju. This is our new student union member, Wu Yan. At this time, there was a boy and 6 girls standing in the student union office of the White Emperor College. In the eyes of the bystanders, the boy surrounded by girls was undoubtedly a winner in life who should be executed. However, what they didn't know was that if he could, he would jump off the balcony behind him as long as he could get out of here. Chuju stood to the side and smiled as she introduced Wu Yan to the 5 girls standing in front of Wu Yan. Wu Yan had a smile on his face, but his heart had turned gray. After Chuju introduced Wu Yan, one of the 5 girls standing in front of Wu Yan smiled and said to Wu Yan, "I'm the vice president of the student union, Xia Age. Nice to meet you." Her gray hair was tied into a ponytail and she wore a pair of glasses. The beautiful girl looked at Wu Yan seriously. Then, just as Wu Yan was about to feel his scalp go numb, she nodded at him and said, "Spring breeze cherry. Wow. A new face. To be able to be introduced into the student union by little chick, you must be a very powerful person." This was a girl with violet hair and 2 small ponytails. At first glance, one could tell that she was a very lively and cheerful girl. She looked at Wu Yan with a happy face and said curiously. That look in her eyes was as if she had seen something interesting. "I'm Sagawa Izumi. Please advise me." Hanaleing Mickey. This was a girl with long blue hair and dead fish eyes. Asafumi Risa. This was a girl with short brown shoulder-length hair who was giving Wu Yan a thumbs up. Looking at these girls who were enough to make people complain, Wu Yan's heart was full of tears. Just after class, Wu Yan was forcefully pulled into the student union by Chuju and made a slave contract to become a glorious member of the student union. Originally, Wu Yan nodded with the intention of getting along with Kaishu-sama and improving their relationship. However, he soon regretted his decision. Because right after that, Chuju found these 5 gods and said that she wanted to introduce them to each other so that they could get to know each other. But if he had a choice, Wu Yan really wanted to give himself 2 slaps. He would rather not come. These were 5 problem girls. Although Xia Age looked very gentle, anyone who had seen Butler Whirlwind would know that she was a black-bellied girl. The notebook in her hand actually had a very awesome name. It was called Weakness Notebook. It was used to record the weaknesses of others. If one interacted with her, one would never know when she would find a weakness that could be used against them. When that time came, they would not even know how they died. Besides Xia Age, the girl with spectacles, Spring Breeze Cherry Blossoms, who had a calm expression as if nothing could make her change her expression, was actually a girl with severe autism. Why was there a quotation mark on the word autism? That was because, although she looked calm, she had the perfect soul of a maid. Usually, in order to not let others know her true personality, she suppressed herself enough. Who knew if one would be affected by her personality disorder when interacting with her? If it's just the 2 of them, then it's fine. As long as he's careful when he's with Xia Age and a bit more magnanimous when he's with Spring Breeze Sakura, then with Wu Yan's brain that's familiar with 2D girls, he should be able to cope. What he was really afraid of were the other 3 girls, Sagawa Izumi, Hanabusa Miki, and Asafa Risa were all smiling at him. One was lively and cheerful, one was half dead, and one was overly energetic. They were the real problem girls known as the White Emperor College's idiot trio. When they were alone, there was no problem. However, when the 3 of them gathered together, there would always be incidents. In other words, they would cause trouble. In the original work, there's also a duo called Misfortune favored by Inazaki-sa who took the blame for them. That's why the 3 of them are living a good life. Wu Yan doesn't want to be the one who takes the blame for them. That's why he's the one who took the blame for them. In addition, although the president was perfect, she would get angry from time to time. In this student union, perhaps only a strong life form like Seo Ayasaki could survive. If the heavens give me another chance, I will definitely. Yen, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and say hello. A beautiful hand patted Wu Yan's shoulder, saving Wu Yan from the tragedy he imagined. Looking at Chuju who was looking at him with dissatisfaction, Wu Yan wanted to cry but had no tears. With a fake smile, Wu Yan said, "Hello, my name is Wu Yan, I am from China. I just came to the White Emperor College today. I am Chuju's housekeeper, please take care of me in the future." Chuju's housekeeper? The 5 girls looked at Wu Yan and Chuju in shock, their faces were full of disbelief. In their hearts, Chuju was almost perfect. She had excellent grades, excellent abilities, excellent sports, excellent housework, and beautiful appearance. No matter how they looked at it, Chuju did not look like someone who needed a housekeeper to take care of her. Perhaps, letting Chuju be her housekeeper would be a very suitable choice. Now, a man suddenly came out and said that he was Chuju's housekeeper. It was none other than Chuju. How could that be possible? After the initial shock, the morons came up to Wu Yan with smiles on their faces and surrounded him. From the looks of it, the word gossip is written all over their faces. Hey, Wu Yan, Kun, how did you become little chick's housekeeper? It doesn't make sense. Is there any inside story? Tell us about it. As members of the same organization, we will be comrades in life and death in the future. Don't try to hide it from us. Did you fight with Little Chick, and then she defeated you? Then you fell for Little Chick's charm and became her staunch supporter? Tell us about it. Wu Yan was completely convinced. Chapter 17. Wu Yan was under a lot of pressure. Along the way, whether they were playing soccer, chatting, reading, or flirting with girls, all of them cast their gazes on Wu Yan the moment they saw him. Their eyes were blazing with fire and their mouths were gnashing so hard that they looked like they were ready to turn into hounds and take a bite out of Wu Yan at any moment. Feeling that gaze that could pierce through him 1,000 times over, he has to admit that as a level 28 superhuman, he's afraid. Hinagiku lazily stretched her back and flipped her long pink hair in a dashing manner. That instant burst of charm made Wu Yan feel like the gazes on him became even hotter. Wu Yan slapped his forehead in pain and sighed. What's wrong? If you keep sighing like that, you will turn into a crappy old man. Hinagiku grinned at Wu Yan beside her. Sigh. Wu Yan sighed again. His eyes were half open and his body was weak. He sighed and said, I knew you were popular, but I didn't expect to see it with my own eyes. I feel embarrassed. Chuju looked at Wu Yan in confusion. She didn't understand what he was talking about. Wu Yan curled his lips and motioned for Chuju to look over. Chuju finally understood what Wu Yan meant. Chuju scratched her face in embarrassment and quickly changed the topic. Come on, let's go home. I'm looking forward to tonight's dinner. Chuju's eyes became brighter and brighter. Although she was changing the topic, she was really looking forward to it. Wu Yan shook his head and said to Chuju, Okay, you go back first. I'll go back later. Stopping in her tracks, Hinagiku turned around and asked him. What's wrong? Did you leave something in the classroom? I'll wait for you. No, I have something I want to do, so I'll go back later. Although it was a pity that he couldn't use this time to flirt with the president, Wu Yan had no choice. He still had to do the mission. Something? She stared at Wu Yan's face like she's trying to figure out something from his expression. Until Wu Yan's expression became a bit unnatural, Hinagiku finally opened her mouth. I remember a certain someone said he had nowhere else to go, so he became a butler. So, where can you go now? Wu Yan looked at the president's delicate face and took 2 steps back. He smiled awkwardly. Well, it's just a small matter. It'll be done in a while. You can go back first. Chuju slightly puffed up her cheeks and narrowed her yellow-green eyes. After a while, she snorted and turned her head. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Remember, if you need any help, just tell me. Although I don't know if it will be useful, at least the more people there are, the easier it will be. I know. If there's anything I need your help with, I'll definitely tell you. Wu Yan looked at Chuju, amused. Then I'll go first. Remember to come back early. Wu Yan suddenly looked at Chuju with a strange expression. Chuju suddenly realized that she seemed to have said something terrible. That sentence was like what a wife would say to her husband. Her face turned red. Seeing that Wu Yan still had a strange expression, Chuju said angrily, Hurry up and do your thing. Then I'll go. Bye. Feeling that he would definitely get hurt if he continued to stay here, Wu Yan decisively turned around and ran away in the blink of an eye. It wasn't until Wu Yan's figure disappeared that Hinajiku retracted her gaze and mumbled. "Sooner or later I will expose all your secrets." At this time, Wu Yan had already arrived at the old school building. A cold light flashed in his hand, and the Kusanagi sword appeared in his hand. He tied it to the back of his waist. Unlike the casual life he had before, now that he's enrolled in Hakuo Academy, it's too conspicuous for a student to carry a sword around. Although there are a lot of weirdos in this academy, not to mention those who carry swords, there might even be those who carry guns. But Wu Yan has no interest in becoming one of these weirdos. Therefore, Wu Yan spent 10,000 item points to exchange for a legendary artifact that was essential in all novels, the space ring. At first, he thought that the space rings that could be seen everywhere in novels shouldn't be that expensive. However, Wu Yan was wrong, and very wrong. Let's not talk about other things first. The space ring he exchanged for cost him a whopping 10k water. Also, compared to those infinitely large space rings, his space ring is only about 100 cubic meters in size. What else could Wu Yan do? He could only buy it. If he didn't buy it now, he would have to buy it sooner or later. After all, he had no family and no place to hide anything. Buying an item that could be used as a storage item was absolutely necessary. After pushing open the door of the old school building, Wu Yan walked in. Looking at the dilapidated surroundings, Wu Yan used his mind to activate the detection function of the system. As long as it was within sight, it wouldn't be able to escape the detection function of the system. Wu Yan felt that it was better to be on guard against the monster with the word ghost in it, in case the other party really became invisible. The sky outside gradually darkened. Wu Yan had almost walked through the entire old school building, but he didn't even see a ghost. This made Wu Yan puzzled. This was impossible. Since the system gave the address, then it definitely wouldn't be wrong. The so-called ghost leader must be here. Why didn't he see it? Could it be that the dead ghost would only come out at night? Scratching his hair, Wu Yan looked at the sky and decisively gave up the idea of waiting until it was dark. Kaishu-sama said that she's looking forward to tonight's dinner. If he doesn't hurry back to cook for her before dinner, he doesn't know if her favorability will drop or not, but he's sure that he'll get cold shoulders for a day or two. Sacrificing Kaishu-sama's favorability for a dead devil is impossible. If he had known earlier, he would have raised the president half. Why did he have to raise her so comprehensively? Wasn't he just looking for trouble? While feeling vexed, Wu Yan pondered. Then, he pulled open the system list and began to look for a suitable method. At a certain moment, the corner of Wu Yan's mouth twitched. With a flip of his hand, a small ball of light with a dim glow appeared in his hand. Fluorescent ball has the ability to track down mysterious forces. As long as there is an abnormal force within a certain range, such as curses, death auras, ghost auras, and the like, the fluorescent ball will be able to track down its aura and find the source of the force. 1,000 item points. Although the name was a little vague, the effect was still pretty good, at least on the surface. Pinching the fluorescent ball in his hand, it felt soft, just like a girl's chest. Wu Yan, who had never pinched a girl's chest before, thought so in his heart. Then, he threw the fluorescent ball in his hand. The fluorescent ball paused in the air, then flashed dimmer than a light bulb while bobbing up and down in the air like a fish float. Then, Wu Yan saw the fluorescent ball suddenly stop moving and float to the side. Fortunately, it worked. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief and quickly chased after it. The fluorescent ball's floating speed became slower and slower. Gradually, Wu Yan's footsteps changed from running to walking, but the fluorescent ball continued to float into the old school building, floating. It was not until it reached the innermost part of the old school building that the fluorescent ball suddenly changed its direction and merged into the ground. Wu Yan looked at the ground with a face full of shock. What does this mean? Is it going to hell? No way, I asked you to look for ghost auras, not the underworld. Come back quickly. Although he complained in his heart, Wu Yan's face was full of helplessness. What else could he do? He could only dig and see. Pulling out the Kusanagi sword from his waist, Wu Yan knocked on the ground, but it made an empty sound. Wu Yan was stunned, then immediately smiled happily. This was obviously a different world. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yan aimed at the ground and slashed hard, "Paw!" The ground cracked, and dust flew everywhere. Wu Yan covered his mouth and nose, took a step back, and waved the sword in his hand, dispersing the dust. When the dust dispersed, what appeared in front of Wu Yan was a hole that allowed one person to pass through. At the bottom of the hole, Wu Yan could vaguely see the dim light of the fluorescent ball, which proved that it stopped after entering the ground. This also meant that the source of the abnormal power that the fluorescent ball was searching for was inside the hole. Wu Yan stuck his head out and looked inside the hole. Other than the fluorescent ball, he could not see anything. Helpless, Wu Yan gathered his courage and jumped down. When he landed, he looked up and saw what was in front of him. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. In front of him was a spacious hall. According to Wu Yan's estimation, it was about the size of the old school. There was only dirt, dust, and a few cute things inside. A giant crow was flying in the sky, a gas-like orochi was floating in the air, and a skeleton was standing there, facing Wu Yan. Even Wu Yan couldn't help but jump in fright when he saw this. After all, 3 months ago, he was just a normal human being. It's normal for humans to be afraid of ghosts. Patting his chest, Wu Yan tightened his grip on the sword in his hand and looked at the giant crow in the air. Carnivorous crow, level 10, level 10. It seems that this crow is just a small fry. That ghost leader should be more than level 10, right? Pursing his lips, Wu Yan looked at the gas-like orochi floating in the middle. Wandering spirit, level 10, soul? Not a snake? But then again, snakes do not float, and they are not gaseous. From the looks of it, it does look like a spirit. But it is not a ghost leader. Could it be that in the original work, Itsunomiya Izumi was here to deal with these things? Is there really such a thing as a ghost? Sighing, Wu Yan looked at the skeleton again and he had an awkward look on his face. Pink skeleton, level 10, you are just a skeleton, and you want to be pink like a girl? Pink? How is it pink? Wu Yan's face was full of spirit. He almost let go of the Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword in his hand. He wanted to ask, where did this name come from? Was it that ghost leader? The hobbies of ghosts were indeed different from those of humans. Perhaps to them, this hard bone might really be soft and tender. Should I go and ask them where their ghost leader is? Wu Yan hesitated. But even if Wu Yan wanted to leave, they would not let him. The carnivorous crow in the sky suddenly let out a shrill cry. Then, Wu Yan saw the wandering spirit and the skeleton tremble at the same time and pounce on Wu Yan. Fine, even if you want to eat a human, please think twice. You are only level 10, do you think a ghost can eat a human? When the wandering spirit was in front of him, Wu Yan twisted his Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword and chopped off its head. Then, he grabbed the skeleton's head, pulled it, and slashed it. The skeleton eloped with the wandering spirit. Looking up at the carnivorous crow, Wu Yan laughed and joked, "What? Don't you know how to cry? Call more if you have the guts." But Wu Yan soon stopped laughing. A large group of skeletons emerged from the ground and stood up shakily. They lined up neatly and faced Wu Yan. A large number of wandering spirits also emerged from the walls on both sides. They opened their mouths and roared silently at Wu Yan. This is really screaming. Chapter 18. Looking at the skeletons and gaseous orochi that filled the entire underground hall, Wu Yan was completely speechless. It was hard to imagine how the students of the White Emperor College could live so comfortably when there were so many level 10 monsters in the White Emperor College. Logically speaking, these little cuties were enough to turn the entire White Emperor College into a mass grave. Although there were many strong people in White King Academy, such as Hinajiku, who was level 18, and her crazy sister, who was level 15, and those housekeepers with special skills, no matter how bad they were, they should be at least level 10. However, most of the people in White King Academy were normal people, completely level 0. Facing an army of level 10 monsters, they wouldn't even know how they died. In such a situation, why didn't these little cuties rush out and cause trouble? Was it because the so-called spirit leader had other plans? Or was there some special reason that prevented them from going out? In the air, the general raven that was flying in the air screeched again. The skeletons and wandering spirits all turned around and rushed towards Wu Yan. This scene was like a huge army charging towards him. Wu Yan couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Although they were all level 10 monsters, once there were enough of them, they might not be able to kill Wu Yan. Wu Yan didn't know, but he was still shocked. Wu Yan forced a smile and tightened his grip on the long sword in his hand. In the blink of an eye, Wu Yan's position was filled with countless skeletons and wandering spirits. He swung the long sword in his hand and chopped off 4 skeletons. Wu Yan's back was the wall, so he could only rush forward. Grabbing one of the skeletons as a shield, Wu Yan pushed it forward and knocked over the skeletons on the ground. Then, he stopped and threw the skeleton in his hand out, smashing another pile of skeletons. Feeling a chill on his back, Wu Yan quickly jumped up. At the same time, a few wandering spirits crashed into the spot where he had been standing, raising a cloud of dust. Wu Yan took advantage of the momentum and stepped on the wandering spirits. He swung his sword and cut them all down. Then, he quickly left the place. The spot where he had been standing was once again hit by a group of wandering spirits. Wu Yan twisted his body and jumped a few times to find a foothold. Turning around and chopping down another pile of skulls, he took a few deep breaths. This is the first time he got ganged up on like this. In the past, he used to hunt down lone demonic beasts and kill them one-on-one. Since when did he have the experience of ganging up on a group? So, as soon as he was in a group battle, Wu Yan immediately realized his weakness. He lacked a large-scale killing skill. He had no other choice but to fight and run and then kill the enemies one by one. But if this continued, even if he was not beaten to death, Wu Yan would die of exhaustion. This army of skeletons and wandering spirits was endless. When could he finish killing them all? He had to exchange for some group attack skills. Wu Yan dodged in a sorry state while opening the system to find a suitable ability. As if losing its patience, the general raven in the sky cried out again. Then, all the skeletons and wandering spirits seemed to have taken stimulants. Their attacks suddenly increased. Wu Yan's pupils contracted violently as they crashed into the skeletons. Bang! In the huge underground hall, a cloud of dust suddenly rose and enveloped the whole hall. The scene fell into silence for a moment. Chaotic return. A low voice came from the center of the collision between the skeletons and wandering spirits. As the voice came out, the skeletons and wandering spirits started to move. The skeletons and wandering spirits at the front were suddenly torn apart and turned into dregs. Sky dance, a huge invisible arc spread out. Everything touched by the arc, be it skeletons or wandering spirits, was torn apart in an instant. They followed their companions in front and became dregs on the ground. It was not until a quarter of the skeletons and wandering spirits were wiped out that the arc slowly dimmed, revealing Wu Yan's figure. Although he was in a sorry state, he did not suffer any damage. Wu Yan exchanged for the skill he wanted in time and saved himself from danger. Chaotic return to sky dance, sword/skill. Uses an indescribable trajectory to drive the sword body to form a circular/condensed by the atmosphere. Can be used for close combat, or can be separated from the sword body to form a chi sword slash. Skill points, 5,000. Although it was exchanged in a hurry, the effect was needless to say, it was very powerful. Wu Yan hatefully glared at the skeletons and drifting ghouls. It was only for a split second, but Wu Yan did feel the sensation of death. It's not like he didn't run into danger when he slew demonic beasts, but it's one thing to encounter danger and another to experience it for himself. This group of damn skeletons and garbage, Orochi. Do you really think I'm Doraemon if I don't go crazy? His other hand was also placed on the hilt of his sword. Wu Yan raised the Kusanagi sword and drew a sword mark. Then, the atmosphere that was invisible to the naked eye began to roll up the sword body and condense into a circle of light. Wu Yan slashed at the place with the most number of skeletons. Chaotic returned to sky dance, the circle of light glowed intensely and then left the sword, forming a sword arc. The sword arc swept out, and all the ghosts that came into contact with it were instantly turned into dust and mixed with the dust in the air. After eliminating a large number of skeletons and wandering spirits, Wu Yan laughed twice. The circle of light on the sword again, and then Wu Yan threw it out fiercely. After 3 chaotic return to Horizon Waltz, Wu Yan wiped out all of the skeletons and zombies. The spacious underground hall was cleared out once again. Phew. Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Wu Yan coldly looked in front of him. There, the cawing General Raven was still flying in the air. With a tap of his foot, Wu Yan quickly jumped into the air. Under the whistling of the wind, he arrived in front of the raven and stabbed the Kusanagi sword in his hand into its chest. Green blood splattered everywhere. The raven wailed. As Wu Yan pulled out the sword, it fell to the ground, flopped twice, and stopped moving. Ding! Congratulations on leveling up. Current level, 29. As soon as his body became lighter, Wu Yan felt that his tired body and spirit had recovered to their peak condition. It was as if he had soaked in a hot spring with instant healing effects. It was so good that it was off the charts. Although the ghosts did not even have a line after they came out, they were all killed by Wu Yan. Only the raven cried out a few times, but it still gave Wu Yan a lot of experience points. Although a level 10 monster could not give much experience points to Wu Yan, who was almost level 30, the number of monsters could not make up for it. After all, there were hundreds of them, if not 1,000. Little drops make a mickle. The last monster gave Wu Yan the last bit of experience points, pushing his level up. It was not a wasted trip. After stepping on the corpse of the raven, Wu Yan patted off the dust on his body and looked at it with disdain. Calling for help was quite impressive, but he did not expect himself to be so weak. The skeletons and Orochi would bump into each other a few times. You don't even know how to dodge, and you still have the nerve to call for help. Oh no, call for ghosts. Maybe Wu Yan's actions angered a crow that was supposed to be dead because the Shogun Raven started twisting its body violently. It looked like something is trying to come out from under its skin. Wu Yan was stunned and quickly dodged to the side. With a bang, the General Raven's body exploded and green blood splattered all over the ground. As the General Raven exploded, strands of black gas rose from the green blood on the ground and condensed into a ball in the air. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel astonished at such a strange scene. What was that? Was it because of this thing that the Water Raven, which was at the same level as a soldier, had the ability to command the skeletons and wandering spirits? However, he was certain that the ball of black gas was not the raven. After all, Wu Yan only leveled up after killing it. If he did not defeat it, the system would not give him any experience. Even if it was revived, the system would not give him any experience. Only after the raven had lost its ability to fight would the system give him experience. If the ball of black gas was the raven, then if it could still fight, it could not be considered defeated and there would be no experience points. The ball of black gas slowly grew, until the last trace of black gas flowed into the green blood. The ball of black gas slowly solidified. In the blink of an eye, a huge skeletal man covered in black gas appeared in front of Wu Yan. It looked the same as the skeleton from before, but it was twice as big as Wu Yan. The skeletal man laughed strangely, the black gas around its body fluctuated with its laughter, as if it was alive. Ghoul Chieftain, level 30, Wu Yan's expression became serious. Looking at the huge Ghoul Chieftain, his eyes shone brightly. The completion condition of the second mission had appeared. As expected of a classic game plot, the boss would only appear after the minions were cleared. This was an eternal truth. Wu Yan laughed lightly, the blood in his body began to boil. He. The Ghoul Chieftain covered in black gas laughed strangely at Wu Yan, as if Wu Yan was a clown. It was full of mockery. Wu Yan cursed in his heart. You're so ugly, but I didn't laugh at you. How dare you laugh at me? He 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 he. The ghoul chieftain somersaulted a few times in the air and laughed strangely again. Suddenly, it dashed in front of Wu Yan and swept its huge bone claws towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan's expression became serious. He raised his Kusanagi sword and stabbed at the bone claws. Bang! The Kusanagi sword and the bone claws collided, and a huge impact spread out, stirring up the dust on the ground. The ground around the ghoul chieftain and Wu Yan slowly cracked, indicating the intensity of the battle. Wu Yan stared at the ghoul chieftain. He used his strength to push away the bone claws and jumped back. After putting some distance between himself and the ghoul chieftain, Wu Yan shook his arm to get rid of the numbness. Should he say that it was a level 30 monster? Even though Wu Yan used a skill to reduce the force, his arm was still numb from the impact. However, it was reasonable. After all, level 30 already belonged to the 4th stage. Even if Wu Yan was only one level lower than the ghoul chieftain, he could only be at a disadvantage. Don't think that Wu Yan was able to challenge monsters above his level because the difference between the stages was small. That was only because his level was still low. Although the difference between Wu Yan at level 15 2nd stage and the demon wolf at level 23rd stage was large, it could be made up with other conditions. Wu Yan relied on the common armaments Kusanagi sword and kendo mastery to win in a dangerous situation. As for the level 25 slime, it was because it was careless and did not use Do Chi. Under its underestimation, Wu Yan cut off its arm, causing the battle to tilt towards Wu Yan. If they really fought, with the level 18 Wu Yan at that time, even if he could win, he would have to pay a certain price. As his level slowly increased, he might still be able to challenge monsters above his level. However, it would be impossible for him to challenge monsters above his level unless Wu Yan exchanged for a rank S equipment, which was a mythical armament. That was all for later. Right now, Wu Yan only knew that he could win against a ghoul chieftain that was one level higher than him. Kendo mastery, complete memory, chaotic return to horizon dance, and Kusanagi sword. With all these conditions in one body, Wu Yan was confident. How much EXP are you going to give me? Wu Yan sneered in his heart. You're tuning into the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.